An ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
Good morning. This is American Sunrise Early Edition. I am Brian Glenn. Here are some of the headlines that matter. First, on Capitol Hill, a new warning about what's fueling the chaos inside America. A House hearing underway following the money behind the anti-American protests, anti-ICE violence that's running through U.S. nonprofits, foreign money, hidden channels, a trail pointing to China, what lawmakers say has been hiding in plain sight. That straight ahead. And then, to the White House, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu set to meet President Trump today. Iran red lines, next moves, high stakes moment with consequences far beyond words. Why this meeting could decide what comes next, that's straight ahead. And finally, a reckoning for social media. Big tech on trial over what it knew about kids and addiction. What was built, what was hidden, what it costs kids now. The evidence coming out. All this straight ahead right here on American Sunrise Early Edition that starts right now.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. The show where faith, freedom, and the values that built this nation take center stage.
You people and others like you built this country.
Join us as we break down the stories that matter.
FAFO.
If you don't know, now you know.
American Sunrise Early Edition on Real America's Voice starts now.
All right, good morning. Now you know where to turn to for the day's news. All right, we got a lot on tap right now, but here's how you can start your day with this. Take a look at the bottom of your screen right now. That's a QR code. That's your ticket to join the Weather Nation family. Scan it, get connected, and better yet, you have your hometown forecast. That could be next. And head over to Real America's Voice on the chats, Getter, Rumble, YouTube. During the 9 a.m. hour of American Sunrise, if you're selected, we'll deliver your hometown forecast live. So jump in, be a part of the fun, and join us over at Weather Nation. Now, joining us for today's forecast is our very own Weather Nation's Tracy Anthony. Tracy, good morning. Good to see you today.
Yeah, good morning.
So what's on tap? We still dealing with some cold weather?
Yeah, you know, we're still going to have some cold weather in the Northeast, so you're going to have to still bundle up. The rest of the country, we are warming up, but things are starting to get a little more active. So we started off the work week on the slow side, but we have several systems that will be impacting us from coast to coast. So New England, you are going to have a low pressure center working on through, so we're going to be battling some snow for the next day. We do have some beneficial rain coming to the south. We're going to have several waves of that and a big weekend system we're tracking. And out west, conditions stay active. So we have several lows that will push on shore across California, Nevada, and bring a good amount of snow to the inner mountain west as well. So here's what we're looking at just for the day today. A little snow for New England. We're going to have some rain. This is much needed. The drought conditions across the southeast have been pretty bad the last last few months. So we'll take any rain we can get there, but out west, we are expecting to get slammed. Some of the higher elevations could have 1 to 2 feet of snow. Temperatures still going to remain pretty mild. Denver 61 and Bismarck 48. So North Dakota getting a nice little break. And out across the East Coast, areas like New York City, 40 degrees. You're not too bad today, 46 in DC. So we're feeling those temperatures above average. Now into the weekend, we have this big system that we're going to be tracking. It's very similar to the one we had just about a week ago. So this is going to impact a lot of people from the southeast into the mid-Atlantic. We're going to have a little chance for snow on the north end, but the rain is going to cause the potential for some flooding concerns. So it could also kind of kick off our severe weather season. So we're going to have to watch the system very, very closely with the flooding and isolated snow. The good news is it's a warmer system, and the snow, if it does come, it's just going to be a narrow band, but DC could have a few flakes. It's not gonna stick though with those warmer temperatures, Brian. So that's what we have. So lots of activity here headed into the next couple of days.
My son was asking me about spring break forecast down there in Florida. I said, you know what, Caden, it's a little too early to predict that, but hopefully some of those colder temperatures stay to the north and stay out of your state of Florida. All right, Tracy, thank you so much. And as a reminder, one of our viewers can get their lucky hometown forecast right there. So don't forget to scan that QR code and get signed up for that. All right, as we start this morning, let's begin with today's word. Today's verse comes from Psalm 118:24. It reads, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." That is always a classic verse right there. All right, let's turn to our top story right now. On Capitol Hill, a House hearing digging into what's fueling the chaos inside America: anti-American protests, anti-ICE violence, campus unrest, city streets on the edge. Lawmakers say it isn't organic, it's financed. Foreign money moving through U.S. nonprofits. One of the witnesses testifying, Scott Walter. He's president of Capital Research Center. Scott, you told lawmakers the line between charity and politics, that has collapsed, with foreign billions routed through tax-exempt groups to shape the narrative, fuel the protest, and influence American life. Scott joins us now to talk about that. How do these networks operate, and where does this trail lead, Scott?
Well, one of the main places it leads, and arguably the worst of the foreign donors, is a man called Neville Roy Singham. And he's a foreign donor, even though he's a U.S. citizen. He lives in Shanghai, and he's joined at the hip with the Chinese Communist Party there. He's created a nonprofit network that goes literally around the world, pushing Chinese talking points. The country of India has gone after him for this, and now the Ways and Means Committee in America has also gone after him on this.
And we knew, you go back to like the BLM riots, and a lot of the backing of the BLM movement was Chinese for blacks, funneling money into these, what would seem to be a very organic organization. But what can be done to stop the money and maybe hold people accountable, because there are consequences for fueling some of this violence, as we see, we've had, mishaps with killings of people and businesses burned down as a result of putting money in these organizations.
Well, you're right. It is an outrage. And, we have to be honest. We have plenty of bad billionaires here, as well as those abroad. They create this infrastructure that can send people into the streets, a tiny minority of people, but some violent people, some dangerous people, and they throw them into the streets, whatever the apparent excuse is, whether it's Gaza or George Floyd or ICE or the rest. This left-wing infrastructure financed through nonprofits sends people into the streets at the drop of a hat.
And we've even seen employment opportunities on websites like Craigslist and other websites that post up that they're hiring these people to come out and demonstrate in the streets. What can be done to maybe some of these sites that promote or they're fueling some of this violence? Is there anything that we can do there as well?
Well, because America is such a decent country, and we have a tradition of the rule of law, it's not super easy, right? It's hard to prove the conspiracy. But the first step in this, the biggest problem is, back in the 60s, you had nihilistic violence like this too, but mayors didn't tolerate it. And mayors of both parties in big cities would not tolerate this kind of violence on their streets. But now, of course, Portland, Seattle, Chicago, and Minneapolis, you don't have the local law enforcement shutting this down. That's a huge part of the problem.
So really, to begin to shut this down, it goes to the local authorities. Who's in charge? The mayor. I guess the governor of a state would be like Minnesota, great example, because you don't see these protests in Republican or conservative-led cities or even states, to that matter.
Well, yes, you're right about that, and it's very sad because the feds don't have enough boots on the ground in every city in America to enforce the law, and of course they're not supposed to. That's supposed to be the state and city's job.
Yeah, well, I think to a certain extent, the federal government, as we saw in Minnesota, needs to come in, and we've seen that across the country when these protests erupt. Look at Los Angeles. It took Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass had no interest in shutting down the violence that was happening in Los Angeles last year until President Trump brought in the National Guard and was able to at least make that area civil, so they wouldn't burn down the city. All right, so what do you anticipate going forward? Are any big changes happening that we can at least feel a little bit at ease that these foreign-funded protests won't get any bigger as we go into midterms now? Because we're heading into the midterms, and this is kind of when they seem to flare up the most.
I do think there'll be some differences. As one difference is that investigations both by Congress and by the executive branch are beginning to get underway. And, if this were fully exposed, I think the Americans across the spectrum would be outraged. So something could happen on that. The other thing that might happen is that you will see efforts to prevent groups that get foreign money from being as active in politics. There are legal changes that could be made so that, if some of these nonprofits get foreign funding, they have to admit it, and then they can't play in politics by giving money to super PACs, for instance.
Yeah, that's a great example on that. All right, as we kind of make our way into the midterms, and we know that things come up. I mean, it just takes one more tragic incident on the streets of America for some of these protests to erupt. And we know that they're not organic; they are simply fueled by foreign money. Thank you so much for joining us, Scott. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
All right, coming up today inside the White House, high stakes. A meeting will take place. Trump, Netanyahu, and Iran in focus. Will this be diplomacy or is it war planning? We'll find out what's at stake. That's coming up next.
This holiday season, Real America's Voice is proud to partner with our friends at Angel Studios for a special giveaway you won't want to miss. As they launch season 2 of their hit series Homestead, we're giving you the chance to win an exclusive Homestead hat absolutely free. Everyone who becomes an Angel Guild member using our link is automatically entered to the contest. When you join, you're supporting meaningful pro-American storytelling, and you're supporting RAV at the same time. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or text the word RAVAngel to 75802. After you scan or text, make sure you follow the steps provided. When you complete the steps and join the Angel Guild, you'll be automatically entered to win that exclusive Homestead hat, a perfect holiday gift for yourself or someone you love.
Be one of the first 50 people to sign up and win a hat automatically. Hurry while there's still time.
So scan that QR code or text RAVAngel to 75802. Happy holidays from all of us at RAV.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of the real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
All right, welcome back, American Sunrise. That is a live look at the White House. All right, welcome back to the early edition. A major development this morning in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Newly recovered images show an armed individual at her front door appearing to tamper with a security camera. Now, the morning she vanished. Now, the video was recovered from a back-end system after recording devices were removed. The FBI and local authorities are renewing calls for tips, and the search intensifies. Former FBI Special Agent Jonathan Gillum joins us later to talk about that, what's emerging on this investigation. In California, a very familiar pair teaming up. Senator Adam Schiff face-off with Trump impeachment and years of Russian collusion claims is now throwing in his support behind Eric Swalwell for governor. Now, Swalwell, the congressman, is linked to the alleged Chinese spy Fang Fang and has faced zero consequences. All of this comes as Democrats jockey to replace long-term limited Gavin Newsom in that state. Now, 2 names, 1 record, and 1 power play in California. Keep an eye on that. In other news, new on the music charts, a surprise at number 1, Kid Rock, rocketing to the top of iTunes, beating out Bad Bunny. His cover of Till You Can't debuted after the Super Bowl halftime show, Faith, Country, America First. This message is resonating and the numbers don't lie. Now, our top story. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Washington, meeting with President Trump at the White House. A high-stakes meeting with consequences far beyond this room. What's said publicly and what's being shaped behind closed doors, not the same. Joining us now, Brandon Weichert. Brandon, what decisions made in that room can change the course of what comes next? Big day today in the White House.
It's a big day. It's going to be historic. Clearly, what's happening behind the scenes is more intense than what we're seeing on camera. Last night, when he arrived, Prime Minister Netanyahu had a meeting in the White House with both Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, as well as Steve Witkoff, who's the lead negotiator for these Iran talks. We don't know what was said, but the image that was leaked out showed that there was a lot of coordination going on between the U.S. side and the Israeli side, even before the meeting today with Trump, which indicates to me that the administration is still leaning toward initiating strikes against Iran, even though they're doing these talks. It doesn't really matter. Trump's talking about moving a second aircraft carrier strike group in. So I would not put much faith in these talks, especially because the key thing now, Netanyahu's insisting that the Iranians give up their ballistic missile as well as nuclear weapons program. No doubt the nuclear weapons program is a problem, and the ballistic missile program is actually a greater threat to the world. But the Iranians are saying, hey, we don't have an air force. The only thing we have are those missiles. We're not getting rid of them.
Yeah. I was talking to a colleague yesterday at the White House, and they were saying, well, if President Trump gets us into any type of strike with Iran, it's going to be quick. It's going to be in and out. But one would think when you move that many assets to that region, how is anything going in and out? This isn't like Midnight Hammer, where they flew this bomber halfway across the world to make an exact strike and then they got out. This seems to be a little different. I know that when we talk to Americans every day, you talk to them, we see it online. They are not wanting the U.S. to strike Iran on behalf of Israel. That's not what most Americans want.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, I agree. In fact, I think this could really harm the president's the GOP's midterm elections. And I think actually it's not looking very good, partly because Americans are fed up with these foreign interventions. And you're right. The kind of strikes that are being lined up here are not going to be pinprick strikes specifically directed against, say, a couple of nuclear facilities. These will be comprehensive. They will be sustained, and they will be targeting the regime. Now, that's very different from what happened before. This is a regime change war by another name. This is what the Israelis want. And ultimately, it's very key to understand this. If we go in that way, the Iranians will throw everything in the kitchen sink at us in retaliation because they know this is it for their regime. So we're talking about a much larger engagement, one that could go sideways very fast. It's the Middle East, after all.
Yeah, and I think this would be something that would really stay with Trump's legacy when he leaves office, that it potentially, if this thing goes sideways, that's on him. Now, he has warned the Iranian government that if they continue to kill, this was weeks ago, kill protesters, that he would act accordingly. Now, I saw some reports where up to 90,000 protesters have been killed during these conflicts in the streets. I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but that would lead me to I guess, assume that that would be enough for him to engage in, I would think, a substantive strike on Iran.
I think your audience needs to remember that the president wanted to go in on January 15th, and he was pulled back by the Qataris, the Saudis, the Turks, even the Israelis, because the Israelis said, we're not yet ready. Then again, a couple weekends ago, I was on with Steve Bannon, and I was saying they're going in. This is what I was hearing. And then again, Trump pulled back at the last minute because he didn't think we were quite yet ready. Now it's a different story. So the strike window is open. He wants to go in. He was very close two previous times in the last several weeks. So I think this is a fait accompli. Whether or not the protesters are being killed, and it's terrible, and they are being killed en masse. The fact of the matter is that's not really America's problem.
It's not. It's not. I mean, you look on social media, people do not want any type of engagement, violent engagement with Iran. They don't. It's not our war. This is MAGA. It's not anything other than MAGA, and that's it, Brandon. That's exactly what it is. By the way, that meeting takes place this morning at 11 a.m., and then we were talking off camera. Netanyahu comes back in about a week. He might just stay in town. I don't know if it's even worth the fight to go back, but he stays in town for more meetings.
Yeah, I don't know if he's staying. He is very unpopular. I have a lot of Israeli contacts, and Netanyahu is not popular right now, and it's because of the excessiveness of his policies. He was very popular. Now he's not. And I think you and I, somebody had said that he's a lot like Israel's Joe Biden in terms of how he doesn't give press conferences. He's very detached. That is he's very much alone in the bunker here. And the difference here is that he still has a lot of power in the Israeli system. The Israelis have tried to remove him from office, and every time they do, he then opens up another front in the wars, and suddenly everybody's distracted. So he's actually a lot like Bill Clinton during the Lewinsky trial as well, where Clinton was bombing the Middle East every time a new development occurred during those impeachment hearings. So he's very unpopular, but ultimately, right now, he has all the power in Israel, and he wants what he wants, which is the destruction of the Iranian regime, which I don't like the regime either, by the way, in Iran.
Correct.
But it's not our problem.
Yeah, he can have all the power he wants in Israel. I just don't want him to have the power here in our country.
That's right.
Brandon,
that's right.
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your time this morning. We'll keep an eye on that meeting. All right, we come back. The Dow is hitting an all-time high for the third straight session. Markets are poised as we await the opening bell. We'll be right back with more right here on American Sunrise.
Freedom to speak your mind. Freedom to protest policies you don't like. Freedom to start a business. Freedom to own property. Freedom to vote. Freedom to flourish. It's easy to take these things for granted, but for many people around the world, freedom is merely a dream, and those who fight for it risk losing everything. Their reputations, their livelihoods, even their lives. Scan the QR code now or visit atlasnetwork.org/rev today to help freedom become a reality for people fighting back against authoritarianism. With your gift of just $19 a month, we'll send you an exclusive Atlas Network hat. Plus, we'll send the print edition of our Freedom's Champion magazine to your door. Atlas Network was founded to help pro-freedom organizations around the world develop, implement, and defend policies that foster freedom against tyranny. Visit atlasnetwork.org/rev or scan the QR code now to help us make freedom a reality for millions of people around the world. Donate $19 a month to receive your exclusive hat. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials.
Welcome back, American Sunrise Early Edition. I am Brian Glenn. Now, a quick word from one of our sponsors, the Birch Gold Group. Now, a new year means new financial goals, making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Would this be the year you finally listen to me and other on this network talk about our friends over the Birch Gold Group? Honestly, they're great people. I appreciate their educational approach and their understanding of macroeconomics and their forces pushing the dollar lower and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So now until, we've got next month, if you're eligible for first-time gold buyer, the Birch Gold Group is offering a rebate up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility to that, to start the process, just text America to 989898. To the Birch Gold Group, they can help you roll an existing IRA into a 401k or a backed gold IRA, and especially you might be eligible for that rebate up to $10,000. So make sure right now, if you're a first-time gold buyer, take advantage of the rebate up to $10,000. Right now, text America to 989898 to claim your eligibility today. Again, that's America. Information's on your screen. Do it right now, 989898, the Birch Gold Group. All right, right now, all eyes are on the markets. The Dow coming off record highs as we await the opening bell. Joining us now is Scott Shellady, the host of the Cow Guy Close. Scott, what should investors be watching first this morning? You and I were talking before we came on. I remember when this Dow was 10,000. It seems like millennium, years ago, decades, and it was almost. But man, 50,000? Crazy.
Because I'm old. We both remember that. But yeah, you're right. It went from, let's just talk about what we need to watch today. We need to watch today that we've got a non-farm payroll number. It's a delayed one from Friday. It's going to be a big one to see if the Fed's got any more room to cut interest rates. Investors want interest rates lower. The president wants rates lower. So if we get a really strong number, that's going to be harder to cut rates. So we're looking for something to come in line or maybe a little bit light. And then that's going to give the markets more reason to trade higher because we're going to be looking to cut rates. And then on Friday, we have a CPI number, Consumer Price Index. That's going to be an inflation issue. So we wanted that inflation number to come in light as well so that they can continue to cut rates. And that's going to continue to drive these markets higher. But what's really behind it, Brian, is the fact that we've got great earnings, double-digit growth there. We've got a great GDP. Our economy is expanding at over 5%. The last quarter would have been fantastic if it wasn't for the shutdown. So there's a lot of reasons to celebrate. But also, in today's day and age, and I think you'd agree with me, everything happens a lot faster than it used to. That's for sure. And it's hard getting older while things are happening faster. But just to give you an idea, from 40,000 to 50,000, it took us 630 calendar days. From 40,000 to 50,000, 630 calendar days to make that 10,000 point jump. But you know what? From 10,000 to 20,000, it took 10 times that, about 6,700 days. So as we've gotten closer and closer to these higher numbers, it's happening faster. So why I bring that up is this. It may seem ridiculous to a lot of people out there when the president tweets Dow 100,000 by the end of his term. But if you look at the trajectory of how quickly we're reaching these milestones, and we're doing them in a tenth of the time it did take, it took 25, 30, 40 years ago, it's within reach. It's not as crazy as it might sound.
Yeah, no, it's such an excellent point, and people need to understand that, because before you explained that, I thought to myself, there's not enough calendar days, there's not enough years in his term to get to 100,000. That's a great assessment on that. All right, looking at the NASDAQ, what stands out to you on that right now?
We've got a rotation out of the big tech, the Mag 7. People still own them, but not as much. And it's not a bad thing, because what they're telling us is that there's going to be some adoption of artificial intelligence throughout the rest of the economy. And so things that used to lag because Magnificent Seven stocks, they're starting to come back, the 493 that were unloved over the last 2 years. So you're seeing a rotation out of some of these big tech names into just bog standard banks. We're looking at housing. Things that haven't really been doing well over the last couple, 3 years now are coming back into the fore, because we're able to use AI in their businesses. So we've gone from inception, when we've invented artificial intelligence, now we're really more into application. And that application is happening across all business sectors. And so you're seeing a broadening out of the market, which investors should know is a good, strong sign. It's not as healthy to see just 7 stocks do well and 493 lag. You want to see them all doing well, and we're getting closer and closer to that.
Okay, let's turn our attention over to oil. What are we seeing there, and what can we expect as we kind of go into the summer, go into the spring, summer of 26 of this year?
Yeah, I mean, oil's probably the biggest driver of inflation right in the short term. And it's the only way that the president can get money into the pockets of the consumers on a weekly basis. Every time you fill up with gas, if you save money, that is an absolute tax break. It's anti-inflammatory. So that's something that he's going to make sure he's going to keep an eye on. And we've moved up to around that 64, 65 level as of late. We had been between 55 and 60. I don't see it going much further past 70, because that's going to put a crimp into the inflation plans, which then would put a crimp into rate cut plans. So I think between 55 and 65 is where we'll stay. We're at the higher end of it right now. Nothing too crazy there. The places that we're seeing the crazy moves, and maybe you're going to bring this up next, and I'm jumping the gun, I apologize, but in the metals markets, they've been all over the place, and they've been very, very volatile.
And we got about a minute left. I can't let you go without talking about Bitcoin and crypto. Man, my goodness, you might have to, if someone's in those positions, I would imagine they're taking a lot of stomach acid right now, a lot of Tums, because their stomach's got to be going up and down.
My dad was an old trader on the floor, and he'd say the Bitcoin market would drive a wooden man nuts. And I think he's right if he said it today. It would absolutely drive a wooden man nuts. It's seen the value get basically cut in half. And the problem is that the use case is a little bit, it's lagging. I don't know why the market got surprised by the use case, but it's not really generally well accepted to use it out there in the world. And that's why kind of gold and silver have kind of taken over that mantle. Remember, it was only about 5 to 8 years ago when nobody wanted to touch gold and silver, and it was all about Bitcoin. We drove it to 126,000 and change. Now it's about half of that, because everybody's now focused back their attention to gold and silver because of the dollar basement trade and inflation and chaos and all the reasons that you'd want to own those metals. So now the metals are shining, and Bitcoin's been put on the back burner.
Scott Shellady, thank you so much this morning. I hope you have a great rest of the day. We'll keep an eye on the markets.
All righty. You too.
All right. This morning, the case against Meta. What social media knew about kids and when? That's coming up next. Stick around.
Freedom to speak your mind. Freedom to protest policies you don't like. Freedom to start a business. Freedom to own property. Freedom to vote. Freedom to flourish. It's easy to take these things for granted, but for many people around the world, freedom is merely a dream, and those who fight for it risk losing everything. Their reputations, their livelihoods, even their lives. Scan the QR code now or visit atlasnetwork.org/RAV today to help freedom become a reality for people fighting back against authoritarianism. With your gift of just $19 a month, we'll send you an exclusive Atlas Network hat. Plus, we'll send the print edition of our Freedom's Champion magazine to your door. Atlas Network was founded to help pro-freedom organizations around the world develop, implement, and defend policies that foster freedom against tyranny. Visit atlasnetwork.org/RAV or scan the QR code now to help us make freedom a reality for millions of people around the world. Donate $19 a month to receive your exclusive hat. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. The show where faith, freedom, and the values that built this nation take center stage.
All right, welcome back again to American Sunrise Early Edition. I am Brian Glenn. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's head over to our Denver newsroom for the latest headlines with Terrance Bates. Terrance, good morning.
Brian, good morning to you. Look, a lot happening. Rhetoric or reality? That's the question I'm posing this morning. As Minnesota Governor Tim Walz claims the ICE operation in the state will end in days, not weeks. He's basing that assessment, Brian, on his conversations with top Trump administration officials. But in the meantime, the White House is listing its illegal immigration and crime crackdown as one of the major successes that the mainstream media just doesn't want to talk about. And that's why Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt did it for them on Monday.
A federal appeals court today, nobody asked about that, just upheld the Trump administration's policy of detaining illegal aliens, validating the strong measures that have driven illegal crossings to historic lows, and sent a crystal clear message that under President Trump, if you enter the country illegally, you will be detained and removed. The murder rate, again, not a single question about this, has plunged to a 125-year low as crime falls across the board thanks to President Trump's crime crackdown.
Brian, that comment coming during yesterday's White House press briefing, I believe you were in the room. I'd love to get your reaction to how that went over. You know, sometimes when someone turns the tables on you and calls out your faults, it doesn't necessarily go over quite as smoothly as one might think.
It doesn't. Now, she did that at the very end of the briefing. The briefing started about 45 minutes late. She came out. She addressed the top breaking news at the time, which was some of the leads in the Savannah Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. So she led with that. But here's what happens in the briefing room. When you fill it with people who don't necessarily want to ask you the questions that you have the answers for, that the American people need to hear, I'm not surprised that she had to recap it at the end of the briefing. But those are great numbers. There's a lot of positive news coming out of this administration that we're not hearing from the legacy media, but that's who sits in the chairs up front. That's who she gets to call on. Outlets like ourselves get to line the sides of the briefing room, and quite honestly, sometimes she can't see us in her defense, but you kind of got to expect that when you call on certain outlets, they're not going to ask you about the accomplishments of the Trump administration. They're just not going to do it.
Yeah, you know what? I wonder if Caroline Leavitt is going to start doing more of that, laying out the narrative that the White House wants to lay out, laying out the stories that it wants covered, just since the mainstream media
They usually do, though. They usually do. Yeah, they usually do.
Okay. All right. It was definitely, as I was sitting here listening to it, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it was a mic drop. Yeah, then she walked off.
Oh, it was definitely a mic drop. Yeah, exactly. Hey, so look, let's stay at the White House, Brian, where President Trump is set to welcome Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu later today. The two leaders, of course, expected to discuss next steps when it comes to Iran and its nuclear program, along with a response to the Islamic regime's deadly crackdown on protesters. The issue of Gaza likely will also come up, though, as one might expect. The Trump administration brokered ceasefire, between Israel and Hamas appears to be holding, which is good news. But as for the issue of Iran, today's meeting does come amid ongoing negotiations between the United States and Tehran over ending the Islamic regime's nuclear ambitions. Before leaving for the United States on Monday, though, Netanyahu told reporters that he would, quote, present to the president our approach around our principles on the negotiations. That approach, by the way, is reportedly based on new intelligence that he plans to share with the commander-in-chief specific to Iran's military capabilities, including new long-range ballistic missiles. I'm curious to see how this ultimately shapes out, because obviously Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu have a huge dog in this fight, and they're going to want to push things their way and influence President Trump's decision-making. I think that's a pretty accurate assessment of how things likely will go today, Brian.
Yeah, that's his approach. Now, America has a different approach. We said that in a previous segment. I think that he can have all the power he wants in Israel, but as far as having power over American policy and what we do, as America, overwhelmingly, we don't want that. And so obviously we want peace in that region. We don't want to get into another long war. That's the biggest concerns. That takes place today, Terrance, at 11 a.m. This morning in the Oval Office. So we'll see how that unfolds.
Absolutely. So, Brian, I know you're probably tired of talking to me, but prepare to talk to me more throughout the day, because anytime there's big stories at the White House and you're there, I'm going to be calling on you to have reports.
I think at 1 o'clock you and I are going to connect. I have just an odd feeling about that.
My gut tells me that's probably accurate.
All right, Terrance. We'll see you on the American Sunrise in about an hour. Thank you. All right, now to a story parents across America are watching closely. Meta and other social media giants facing a jury accused of designing platforms to keep kids hooked. Internal documents, allegations of harm, and questions about what they knew and when they knew it. Joining us now, Marley Hornick, a government fraud expert and CEO of Real America Vote. Marley, could this case become the moment when big tech finally forced to answer for the real world harm that's linked to its platforms?
That's what so many parents across this country are hoping. And fascinating, Brian, this is not a partisan issue. Finally, for once, we have something that all parents are up to here with, which is the control that social media platforms have over our children's minds, their activities, and their behavior. You know, it creates like a bubble world where our kids have all this autonomy and they think they're making great decisions, but they're being strongly and heavily influenced. And that's what these internal documents show that are at stake in the case. You know, YouTube and Meta are both claiming, hey, we're not responsible for this girl's problems. She had other problems and she just went onto social media and watched some videos to help her through that process. But in reality, their internal documents tell a different story. That's what this case is going to hang on. I couldn't agree with you more.
You know, it's interesting let's just go back when Facebook first came out. Working in the news industry, we were told if you're caught on Facebook in the newsroom and you're not doing your job, you're going to be written up. There is no place for staying on Facebook or any social media platform in the workplace. Now, it seems like it's so ingrained into the news industry, and not only does a lot of outlets get their information from social media platforms, but they use it to get it out as well. But that has been weaponized now, and we've got a lot of foreign governments and foreign agencies and a lot of NGOs that use social media to push a particular social cause, which causes then perhaps chaos in our communities. I think it's destructive, but I don't know how you can, I mean, that's the magical question though, Marley. How do you control it? How do you prevent kids from watching content that could corrupt them at the age of 8 and 9? They can't process some of this stuff.
Absolutely. And this is one of the challenges this case is going to see, especially if it weren't for all those internal documents showing that these CEOs knew their platforms were unsafe. And, by the way, there is a lawsuit against Meta opening yesterday also in New Mexico, claiming that Meta knew that sexual content was being fed directly and intentionally to teenagers. So they're on the hook all over the country. The problem is it's not whether or not they can control the content better or can create a safer platform. It's whether or not these individuals are going to be able to prove that Meta caused this girl's problems or that YouTube caused this girl's problems, made her addicted, and created a mental health crisis for her personally. There's no question that across the country, parents, like I said, and you're saying, we've really had it. Our kids are being, in the past, when somebody wanted to push something junky on our kids, we could walk with them through that decision. The danger of a phone, it's not like the cereal aisle at the grocery store where your kid is reaching for Choco Nuts or whatever, and you really want them to have bacon and eggs, and you can participate. When they're on their phone, you cannot possibly monitor every single image and idea and expression that they're being subjected to. And meanwhile, the platform is telling them, hey, you're making great decisions. Let's feed you more of that and more and more and more. So the question that's really tricky in this case, and they're going to find the same thing in New Mexico, is whether or not the platform actually caused this girl's problems. I think, we may end up, it's like, imagine when the cigarette lawsuits were all unfolding. And it's like, if you smoke a Marlboro in the morning and then a Camel later, is Marlboro or is Camel responsible? Well, they're both responsible.
Yeah. Remember, go back. I'm 56 years old, and I was told, I grew up in the era of television. So you're always told, don't watch too much television. You're watching too much television. Go out and, read a book, take a walk. But now these kids can doom scroll for hours, lay in bed. When they late at night, they can just lay in bed and just scroll, and just like you said, they're getting fed the content that they're watching the longest. Like, there's so much technology in these platforms. They know exactly what you look at for more than 5 seconds, more than 10 seconds, more than 30 seconds. And if you're watching a video of any type of format for that length of time, they're going to continue to feed that to you. I think social media, this thing right here, has been the most destructive device in technology in our history as a culture, because no one watched too much Seinfeld and then went crazy and had depression. It didn't happen. It's a different time then.
Right. Well, that's the key thing here is, and this is one of the arguments that the plaintiffs' attorneys are making, which is that it's not just that they're watching a lot of content, it's that they're driving the content through their own choices. They're creating a reality that is highly entrancing. They're creating a world that they exist inside of. This is very, very dangerous because, as we see, kids are withdrawing from the real world. They're happier in this bubble that they seem to think or they believe they can control, but they're really not controlling it. Now, one of the key things in this case is going to be that the argument the companies are going to make is, well, we're not responsible for the content the kids are watching. That's a free speech issue under Section 230. But I think the attorneys are going to make this argument, and their point is that, no, it's not about the content itself. It's about the design of the platforms. The way that they are structured and the doom scrolling, like you say, they are designed to keep kids hooked. So it's not so much the particular video. My kids watch all these videos, and some of them are funny, I have to admit it. And it was a battle in my home. I don't know about other parents, but we've gone through taking their phones away. We've gone through trying to restrict the content. It doesn't work. we're in a feral environment, and you can't walk with your kids through all of it. That's the danger. So these are the core arguments that are going to be put forth and hopefully succeed, which is that, no, it's not about the individual videos they're looking at. It's about the way the platforms are structured deliberately and intentionally to create continuing, like you say, doom scrolling. Just hook the kid in, draw them into a false world, show them content that's wildly inappropriate with full knowledge by the platforms, and it hook them into a culture and a way of life that is destructive. And it's driving parents crazy, and it's driving families apart. Like you say, so destructive.
It is destructive. Marley, thank you so much for being here this morning. We appreciate your insight.
Yeah, well, thank you, Brian. It's great to be on here.
Yes, ma'am. We'll see you again. All right, before we go, a quick word for one of our sponsors, Artillery Tea Company, the only America-first veteran-owned tea brand. Their mission is simple: maximize flavor with whole leaf blends and chemical-free tea bags. No junk, just real tea. Here's a tactical advantage: each bag brews twice. Go to the website, artillerytco.com, and use the promo code RAV for 10% off your first order. That's artillerytco.com. Premium tea, mission driven. It's brewed, you guessed it, for the brave. Coming up next, new developments in the Nancy Guthrie case, new images, new questions, and a timeline coming into focus. That's all straight ahead right now from American Sunrise.
Freedom to speak your mind, freedom to protest policies you don't like, freedom to start a business, freedom to own property, freedom to vote, freedom to flourish. It's easy to take these things for granted, but for many people around the world, freedom is merely a dream, and those who fight for it risk losing everything: their reputations, their livelihoods, even their lives. Scan the QR code now or visit atlasnetwork.org/RAV today to help freedom become a reality for people fighting back against authoritarianism. With your gift of just $19 a month, we'll send you an exclusive Atlas Network hat. Plus, we'll send the print edition of our Freedom's Champion magazine to your door. Atlas Network was founded to help pro-freedom organizations around the world develop, implement, and defend policies that foster freedom against tyranny. Visit atlasnetwork.org/RAV or scan the QR code now to help us make freedom a reality for millions of people around the world. Donate $19 a month to receive your exclusive hat. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials.
Welcome back. Live look at the White House, where later today about 11 o'clock, Benjamin Netanyahu will be in the Oval Office to talk with President Trump. We'll have that for you live as it happens. Let's turn our attention back to the search for Nancy Guthrie. Newly recovered video shows an armed individual at her front door appearing to tamper with a camera the morning she disappeared. Now, joining us right now was former Navy SEAL and FBI Special Agent Jonathan Gillum. Jonathan, when investigators see images like this that we just watched, what changes about this case?
Well, I think that we get specifics. So, we have things like you can look at the size of those tiles, determine what size shoe they wear. In a lot of ways, I think you can start to determine how tall the person is. You see their gait that they have before they bend over, and then just the intention. I mean, you can see how the individual wasn't just somebody who was walking up and stumbled upon the house. He was definitely targeting that house. So You can also get a feeling that the individual wanted to be there but didn't know that the camera was there. So that tells you that they may be a little bit less familiar and not that bright enough, smart enough to carry out this crime, but not smart enough to realize that there's a camera there and they're trying to cover it up with weeds. So there's some interesting facts that come out of this. We also know a definite time that the individual was there. And we see things like the fact that he was not in a hurry to get in, and that now we know when we look at the totality, we know that he was in there for about 41 minutes at the least. So it starts to lead down an avenue of other reasons why he was there.
Okay, we've got about a minute left. I'm sorry, we got to cut this segment a little short, up against a hard break. You were telling me off air, and we don't have to get specific, but this footage was obtained by a separate company, not necessarily the company that has the recording device. Is that correct?
Well, no, so I guess Google owns Nest, I think is the way this is. I may be wrong about that, but the FBI worked with Google to get this footage from a camera that belongs to a family that does not subscribe to their membership where it records and holds the film footage. That means all these cameras are filming all the time.
That was another one of my takeaways when we were talking about this. This is incredible, Jonathan. We got a balance. We certainly appreciate it. We want to have you back on perhaps later in the week to maybe review some more of the latest developments in this case. Jonathan, thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you.
All right. Certainly, when those images broke yesterday, that is what Carolyn Levitt led with in the briefing room. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, follow us on social media, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. We call it the fastest news hour. You get the most news quicker, delivered right to you. Until next time, goodbye. God bless. We'll see you.
American Sunrise is a great way to start your morning. Join us Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got the news of the day and some compelling interviews that you don't want to miss. Here's what you missed from yesterday. Ghislaine Maxwell asked for clemency in exchange for testimony that will prove Trump is innocent. She, of course, testified before the House Oversight Committee yesterday, but pleaded the fifth in her testimony. Meantime, lawmakers now have access to unredacted files in the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Here's the other thing. I mean, she has already said that Trump was not involved in any of this. So now she's going to say, hey, if I tell you this, will you give me clemency? You've already told us it. So I don't understand. You got some more proof? No clemency, no anything for her. And if Trump does this, it's going to be that's a red line for MAGA. Sorry, it's a red line for MAGA. That's the way I see it.
Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna say they viewed the unredacted Justice Department Jeffrey Epstein files and found at least 6 men who appear likely incriminated, but their names were redacted in the public release. Lawmakers say one is a high-ranking foreign official, another is a prominent individual, and they're pressing the DOJ to remove the blackouts. If the Department of Justice doesn't comply, Massie said he could disclose those names on the House floor or in a committee meeting.
We want the truth. I know Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie are trying to seek that. What they're proposing to go on the House floor now and read some of the names of the files that they've seen unredacted. I don't know if that is a wise move. These men could be totally innocent. I don't know why those names were redacted, but we do need some answers, I think, from the FBI and DOJ on this.
Full committee hearing, this headline from House.gov, full committee hearing, Make Elections Great Again, how to restore trust and integrity in federal elections. It's, of course, going to focus on trust in elections and integrity. Can you talk about what's happening and where the focus is?
We want every vote that should be cast legally to be counted. The Save America Act is, I think, going to have a vote in the Senate. We're voting on it, I believe, this week on the House side, and that basically says that you should not be voting in a federal election if you are not a U.S. citizen. So in order to register to vote, you have to prove your citizenship, and then when you go to vote, you need a photo ID to prove that you are actually the person with their voter registration card. I think that's quite simple. It is not a hardship for people. If you can find a ride to go to the poll, you can find a ride to go get an ID. Brian Style has insisted, and this has to be somewhere in the legislation, that these IDs need to be free. It should not cost someone to get an ID in order to vote.
Freedom to speak your mind. Freedom to protest policies you don't like. Freedom to start a business. Freedom to own property. Freedom to vote. Freedom to flourish. It's easy to take these things for granted, but for many people around the world, freedom is merely a dream, and those who fight for it risk losing everything. Their reputations, their livelihoods, even their lives. Scan the QR code now or visit atlasnetwork.org/rev today to help freedom become a reality for people fighting back against authoritarianism. With your gift of just $19 a month, we'll send you an exclusive Atlas Network hat. Plus, we'll send the print edition of our Freedom's Champion magazine to your door. Atlas Network was founded to help pro-freedom organizations around the world develop, implement, and defend policies that foster freedom against tyranny. Visit atlasnetwork.org/rev or scan the QR code now to help us make freedom a reality for millions of people around the world. Donate $19 a month to receive your exclusive hat. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials.
Dr. Gina, can you hear us? T. Bates here.
Ahead on American Sunrise, lawmakers say previously redacted names are now coming to light, and questions are growing about why they were hidden in the first place. We have the very latest on the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Plus, high-stakes diplomacy as President Trump is set to sit down with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this morning. The two will discuss Iran and its nuclear program. Will there be an understanding, though? We'll have analysis. And then later, biblical teachings. What can we learn from the history of Mount Sinai? Bible history guy Jim Mosley is here to break it all down. Those stories and so much more right now on American Sunrise.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina. All right, good morning. I'm Dr. Gina. We are live with you from the Palm Beaches. Let's bring in David Brody. He's in Washington, D.C., and T. Bates is in our Denver newsroom. Good morning, gentlemen. No shortage of news today.
Oh, that's for sure. Absolutely not. That's for sure. So let's start at the White House, why don't we, Dr. Gina? The Trump administration patting itself on the back and celebrating its accomplishments this morning, even if the mainstream media refuses to acknowledge or even discuss those accomplishments.
I will just point out that there are a lot of wins in the news this week that people in this room have not asked about because you continue to ask questions about the same subject. So let me point them out for you. Again, on Friday, the Dow shattered 50,000 for the first time ever. This week, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons came out in opposition to gender mutilation surgeries for children. They are the first major medical group to do so.
All right, Dr. Gina, Dr. Gina and David, sorry to exclude you there, David, want to focus on that last part of what you just heard. The American Society of Plastic Surgeons, which is basically the largest organization of board-certified plastic surgeons, advising against irreversible gender transition surgeries, which includes breast, genital, or facial augmentation for anyone under 19 years old. The ASPS pointing out, quote, substantial uncertainty regarding the long-term irreversible effects of puberty blockers and other hormone therapies. By the way, that age recommendation of 19 years old, also a departure from the organization's previous stance, which was more in line with other major medical organizations. Dr. Gina, how significant of a step is this? Can you put it into perspective and context for us?
It's a huge one, and here's why, Terrance. Most people don't realize that these organizations are very, very, very political, very elitist. These are lobbying organizations that put millions and millions of dollars into the coffers of politicians who support usually whatever expands their practice. So what would expand their practice? Well, what would expand their practice would be more genital mutilations, right? Because if you're performing more surgeries, you get more money. So this is actually antithetical to their own practices and the expansion thereof. So that's why this is so significant. It isn't just somebody's opinion, right? This is a major lobbying organization who gives money to politicians who will not make money from this stance. This may be the first of its kind, and that's why it's so fascinating. The American Medical Association, which is a very political umbrella, one of the largest, deep into the pockets of big pharma, they are all in cahoots regarding genital mutilation because they make so much money from it. So for the plastic surgeons, the ones who benefit at point A, right, of these surgeries, to come out like this is a major, major win for our culture, David Brody.
Yeah, and that is all 100% true. And it's also 100% true that you won't hear any of what you just said in the New York Times. And that's the point of what Caroline Levitt was saying in that soundbite, which is where are you in terms of covering all different things that are affecting this country? The truth of the matter is the media, if it's not controversial, if it's not anti-Trump, and if it's not fitting their narrative, they have no desire to go down and do deep dives on what you just talked about there, Gina, and many other, a myriad of different issues. So this is the problem, one of the problems in America today.
So I just want to issue a quick challenge to the American Psychological Association, who says that you can't even counsel kids against doing this right now. Let's not forget that. You can be prosecuted as a parent or as a counselor for telling your children they shouldn't do this. Challenge to the AMA. Challenge to all major medical and psychological associations to follow suit, Terrance. Today's Bible verse.
I'm not mad at that. Yes, go ahead. Yes, please. Thank you, Dr. Gina.
Hebrews 12, verse 3, for consider him who has hostility from sinners against himself, lest you become weary and discouraged in your souls. So true. As we become discouraged, we need to remember that Christ walked before us, and it's always a good reminder. Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna says 6 previously redacted names from the Jeffrey Epstein files are now public following the release of unredacted records. Khanna says the names were removed from earlier Justice Department releases without explanation. Among the figures he has identified are billionaire retail mogul Les Wexner and Dubai Ports World CEO Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem. Khanna stressed that the men were mentioned in Epstein-related records but have not been charged with any crimes. Let's bring in Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. Congressman, these files are definitely illuminating a lot of things. I think the thing that's frustrating for me as a consumer of narratives is that I don't think that any Democrat should be leading on this narrative. I think this is a Republican narrative. I think that when you really look at the powers that be that are involved in this, it is largely skewed toward Democrats. It's the Republicans who have demanded it be made public, right? It bothers me that the Democrats are acting as if this was all their idea, and they're going to try to weaponize this for the midterms. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, they often flip things on their head, don't they? Look, they were in charge for 4 years, and we never heard anything about these files. And all of a sudden now they're acting as if they own it, and they're pushing the DOJ to release. You're absolutely right. Republicans were the ones who actually forced this out in the open. We all, voted to release these files. So yes, I think we're doing what we can to be as transparent as possible. At the same token, you also want to make sure that you're taking every effort to protect the innocent and those victims. And I think the DOJ is doing what it can. I'm getting ready to look at those files. We're scheduling time for me to be able to look at those files later this week. I would hope that all of my colleagues would do that to see what's in them. But yes, you're absolutely right. Republicans want this information out. I think it may not be just Democrats. You got it seems like the elite and the powerful, but Trump has been very clear he wants this information released as well. And I think what has come out in the last couple of days is he was one of the first people to call the police and ring the bell on this guy as soon as any illegal activity was even suspected. So I think Republicans own this. I think they own it for good reason, and that's because we want transparency, protect the innocent, but make sure that those guilty of a crime are charged.
Congresswoman, the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, is also making news as a part of this, news that he really doesn't want to make. Now, he didn't do anything wrong, so to speak, in terms of the Epstein files, but in terms of not having his story exactly straight at the beginning, that's the criticism here. Take a look. He was on the Hill yesterday. Take a look.
I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you in fact make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it.
Your reaction to what Democrats are doing here with Lutnick?
I think because earlier comments where you're seeing a lot of Democrats that are coming out, including Bill Clinton and others who are being exposed to have been part and parcel of what was going on in that island. They're going to try to do everything they can to muddy the waters by making it seem as if anybody who is not a Democrat who's on that island is somehow guilty of something. There are a lot of files that have yet to be exposed. I look forward to that happening, but I also don't want to make sure that we're not muddying the waters and getting folks who have absolutely nothing that they have done that's anything toward that we're getting them any kind of sense that they are guilty of anything. I think Democrats are trying to throw everybody in to the bathwater because they understand that the more that comes out, the more it's going to be directed toward their party and toward their leaders and toward their donors.
Congresswoman, I realize Dallas is your district, but if you plan on flying into El Paso, you may want to take the Greyhound instead. Axios has this headline which reads, I'm not trying to be funny, but it is the reality. Here's an Axios headline which reads, unusual FAA restriction closes El Paso airspace for 10 days. Lawmakers say that no one got a notice here. Can you give us any details? This is a story that kind of broke overnight, and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of public information about this. What do you know about this, and how much of a concern is this? This is super highly unusual.
Well, and this is fairly unprecedented. They're also looking at not allowing medical air as well, which is unprecedented. The last time we've seen anything like this was around 9/11. I am not going to, jump forward and go over my skis. More information, I'm sure, will be coming out. They're taking the steps that they need to be able to protect security, which is why this has been put in place. As I understand, this is a security measure. This is not having to do with weather or any other related activities. So we will. You said it just came out, and I look forward for more information coming out from the FAA about what this is all about.
Sorry, Congresswoman, and I understand not getting ahead of your skis. I fully respect that. But have you been briefed at all? Do you have any inkling about the you know what I mean, the specifics of the supposed security measure? Specificity, there we go, of the security issue.
No, I do not. I would share something if I did, but my understanding is this has to do with security. I don't know anything beyond that.
Yeah, the 10 days. The 10 days part is especially fascinating because I could see them saying 24 hours, 48 hours, but how do you even know 10 days? Like that makes it, I don't know, that's sort of, it's very specific again. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and what they may be doing is just giving themselves a little bit of blanket of time, instead of not answering questions every day and extending it. They're just saying 10 days, and it may be less time than that. But I think it's a good idea when people, especially when people are trying to plan travel, to let them know that to make other plans. I think that's being considerate. But as far as the why and the how long, we'll wait to get more information from the FAA as it comes out.
Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne, thank you so much for being with us today, Congresswoman.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
All right, everybody. Coming up, we're going to check out the hottest headlines from the RAV newsroom. Not the cold ones, just the hot ones. T. Bates is on it. Also later, the IDF says Hamas is violating a U.S. brokered ceasefire by using ambulances, schools, and hospitals to move weapons and fighters in Gaza. What will this mean for the region? We're going to discuss this when American Sunrise continues.
Freedom to speak your mind, freedom to protest policies you don't like, freedom to start a business, freedom to own property, freedom to vote, freedom to flourish. It's easy to take these things for granted, but for many people around the world, freedom is merely a dream, and those who fight for it risk losing everything, their reputations, their livelihoods, even their lives. Scan the QR code now or visit atlasnetwork.org/RAV today to help freedom become a reality for people fighting back against authoritarianism. With your gift of just $19 a month, we'll send you an exclusive Atlas Network hat. Plus, we'll send the print edition of our Freedom's Champion magazine to your door. Atlas Network was founded to help pro-freedom organizations around the world develop, implement, and defend policies that foster freedom against tyranny. Visit atlasnetwork.org/RAV or scan the QR code now to help us make freedom a reality for millions of people around the world. Donate $19 a month to receive your exclusive hat. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials.
This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
It's the White House, and there's snow on the ground. Didn't this storm happen like 3 weeks ago? Yeah, it did. It's so cold in D.C. Literally, this is going to be around till April, the snow. Unbelievable. All right, welcome back, by the way, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. Coming up, speaking of the White House, Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House today with President Trump. We'll talk about it in a moment. First, T. Bates standing by with the latest headlines from the Real America's Voice newsroom, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
Rhetoric or reality? That is the question this morning, as Minnesota Governor Tim Walz claims the ICE operation in the state will end in days, not weeks. He's basing that assessment on his conversations with the top Trump administration officials. In the meantime, the White House is listing its illegal immigration and crime crackdown as one of the major successes that the mainstream media refuses to talk about. And that's why Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt did it for them on Tuesday.
A federal appeals court today, nobody asked about that, just upheld the Trump administration's policy of detaining illegal aliens, validating the strong measures that have driven illegal crossings to historic lows, and sent a crystal clear message that under President Trump, if you enter the country illegally, you will be detained and removed. The murder rate, again, not a single question about this, has plunged to a 125-year low as crime falls across the board thanks to President Trump's crime crackdown.
And happening at the White House today, as David Brody alluded to, President Trump set to welcome Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The two leaders are expected to discuss next steps when it comes to Iran and its nuclear program, along with the response to the Islamic regime's deadly crackdown on protesters. The issue of Gaza will likely come up as well, as the Trump administration brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hamas appears to be holding. As for the issue of Iran, though, today's meeting comes amid ongoing negotiations between the U.S. and Tehran over ending the Islamic regime's nuclear ambitions. Before leaving for the United States on Monday, Netanyahu telling reporters that he would, quote, present to the president our approach around our principles on those negotiations. That approach is reportedly based on new intelligence that he plans to share with the commander-in-chief, specific to Iran's military capabilities, including new long-range ballistic missiles. Now to new information in the investigation into the abduction of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Investigators in Tucson have questioned, and released a person of interest in the disappearance of the 84-year-old. The person was detained during a traffic stop on Tuesday afternoon. Plus, the FBI is out with these new pictures of the person believed to have taken her. FBI Director Kash Patel saying the pictures show an armed person approaching or appearing, to tamper with the camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door. The images were previously unavailable to law enforcement because the abductors removed the recording devices from the home. However, local investigators in the FBI were able to recover some of the data from the cameras, and they're now working to find more images. These pictures are the first key piece of evidence released by investigators more than 10 days after Guthrie's disappearance. Anyone with information is asked to please call 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's 1-800-CALL-FBI, or visit tips.fbi.gov. That's a quick check of your headlines. Now let's get a quick check of your forecast with Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony. By the way, hop into our various social media platforms, be it Getter, Rumble, YouTube. Let us know where you're hanging out. Let us know where you'd like a forecast for, and Tracy will give you a hometown forecast in our next hour. Always one of my favorite parts of the show, Tracy. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I always learn, some of the smaller towns in some of the states you don't always see on the map. So definitely very fun. Drop your hometown. Across the country today, some of the big headlines. New England, you're dealing with some snow. We have a low pressure center that's working across the region. We do have some beneficial rain that's going to be making its way down across parts of the south, and out west we're going to be staying on the active side. So here's what we're looking like for the start of the day today. We've got a good amount of moisture that's pushing onshore, and we've got a video of this storm system on satellite, so kind of a cool visual of that low pressure center pumping in Pacific moisture across the region. But for the rest of us here, temperatures are going to be pretty nice and warm as we feel temperatures getting above seasonable levels really from coast to coast, so get out and enjoy it. But Terrance, I will have an update in the next hour about what we can expect into the weekend. We've got a pretty big storm brewing, so I'll have details on that.
Okay, can I get a hometown forecast for Greeley, Colorado? I'll be heading there this weekend for a big volleyball tournament, and I'm like, okay, so do I drive up and drive back, or do I stay? This is the point when I actually make it personal, and it's all about me, Tracy, so I appreciate you.
No worries, I got your back.
All right, see that? It's my girl right there. That's my homie. Up next, President Trump is set to meet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House in order to discuss high-stakes talks in Iran. So what could all of this mean and what could come of it? We've got expert analysis. Stick around.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history.
Somewhere in America. Just kidding. Hi, everybody. That's Philadelphia. Philadelphia. The city of brotherly love, where they beat up Santa Claus at Philadelphia Eagle games. Okay, I know that was like 40 years ago, but I'll never forget it. Not that I was there. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. All right, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu actually met with U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner ahead of key talks with President Trump. He came to the United States, and that's where that meeting happened last night. Netanyahu said he'll present important principles for Iran nuclear negotiations aimed at peace and security in the Middle East. When he meets with Trump later today, they are supposed to meet in about 3 hours, maybe a little less. We'll have coverage, of course, here all day long on Real America's Voice. All right, let's go ahead and bring in Dr. G for some analysis on all of this. I mean, once again, you know, to me, Gina, here's the thing. When Netanyahu comes all the way from Israel to meet with Trump, this isn't just for coffee, tea, and some biscuits. I mean, you know, this is serious stuff. That gives me the impression here that something is going to go down, whether it means potential military intervention or some sort of negotiation deal that Trump is working on with Iran. So bottom line is Netanyahu is there to basically plead his case in person, Dr. G.
What is the number of this trip? Is it 7 since president has been elected?
A lot. I don't know if it's 7, but it feels like a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And so I don't think there's any doubt about this. You know, it is so interesting because it's of course, what you hear in the news and what you see on social media are two such completely different things. I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's a total incongruency at this point in what you see being debated and discussed in social media that used to be pretty much in line with whatever you heard on the news. It's not that way anymore. So everybody is always second guessing, wondering what's going on behind the scenes, wondering where the real power is. All of those kinds of conversations are happening all the time. And these sorts of meetings and the plentitude of them is fueling that, certainly, David.
No, there's no doubt about it. All right, well, let's get more insight with the CEO and Jerusalem Bureau Chief of the Jewish News Syndicate. That would be Alex Trayman, who normally joins us from Israel. But look at this. He's right in our own backyard here at in Washington at the White House. Hey, Alex, good to see you. So you came over with Bibi for this big meeting. Tell us more. What do you expect?
Good morning, David. Well, this seems to be an emergency meeting. The Prime Minister had been scheduled to come first in 2 weeks from now, and then in a week from now to attend the Board of Peace meeting, but then announced just 48 hours ago that he would advance his travels to today in order to discuss what is obviously urgent preparations, both discussions about the negotiations with Iran over the nuclear issues, ballistic missiles and others, and also potentially the preparations for war.
There is a headline from Fox News that said Hamas terrorists use ambulances, schools, and hospitals in violation of U.S. brokered ceasefire. This came from an IDF official. And this is phase 2 of the ceasefire that has recently started. And there's accusations that these ambulances, hospitals, and schools were misused. What do you know about this?
Well, this has been the strategy of Hamas for years, to use ambulances, hospitals, schools, mosques, journalists, all is covered for terrorists. And I think that as long as we see Hamas continuing to behave like a terrorist organization, which is in their blood, it's in their core to be that way, you're not going to see Israel take any other steps like withdrawing further from the Gaza Strip. Right now, they control 53% of the Gaza Strip. Hamas controls a sliver of the Strip, but I don't think you're going to see Israel make any further concessions towards Gazans until Hamas is disarmed, like the president and the prime minister have said.
Alex, let me go back to the Bibi Netanyahu meeting today. Excuse me, the Bibi Trump meeting today. What are kind of like the odds, if you will? Not that you're a betting man. Who knows? Maybe you are. But what are the odds that Netanyahu will be able to convince Trump to his side of this argument, this equation? And what is that exactly, specifically? Like, what's the win for Bibi? What's the ask, and what does he exactly want?
Well, I think what he wants is that if this negotiations process is going to take place, and I think that that's partly to convince European leaders, the United Nations, and American citizens that there was no other way if the negotiations break down, to make sure that those negotiations are focused on the nuclear issue, that Iran cannot enrich any uranium, cannot develop nuclear weapons, cannot have ballistic missiles, both in quantity, not develop launchers, not be able to be funding terrorist organizations like Hezbollah and Hamas, and also that they won't be attacking their civilians on the streets that are protesting. But it's unlikely that Iran is going to give in on any of those, let alone on all of them. The president might also be looking to see Khamenei take an off-ramp like he offered to Maduro. Maduro refused to take it, and then Trump ordered special forces into Caracas to take him out. We saw Bashar Assad take an exit ramp to Moscow before he fell. So I think that Netanyahu just wants to make sure that negotiations are the firmest they could possibly be, and if they break down, that there is a credible military threat on the backside of that.
A quick 30 seconds, though, Alex, here as a follow-up. Why can't you just do that over the phone? Why is he going to Washington specifically? I mean, I understand proximity is important here, but I feel like there's something else here. Got to be something else.
I think that's a great question. And the next head of the Israeli Air Force is joining Netanyahu on this trip. I believe that there is very sensitive intelligence information gathering, potential targets, battle plans that are all going to be discussed, and they need to be discussed person to person and not over electronic means.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly where this is going. And so I expect something in the next week or so from this. Okay, Alex, great to have you here stateside. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Alex. Welcome.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy the cold. Coming up, scientists are reporting a major breakthrough in the fight against pancreatic cancer. An experimental drug caused tumors to disappear in lab mice with no major side effects. So what does this mean for future treatments? We're going to have the details when we come back.
From From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history.
Look at this shot, you guys. That is our Statue of Liberty with the ice out there just floating on down the river, rolling on the river, some might say. If they were David Brody, he'd probably say that. Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks for joining us. Time now for today's health news is sponsored by the Wellness Company. Under the microscope today, a new breakthrough treating cancer. This is 2 days in a row we've brought these to you. Scientists reporting a major breakthrough in the fight against pancreatic cancer, of course, one of the deadliest. A new experimental drug combination caused tumors to completely disappear in lab mice. Now, this is according to researchers. They say the study targeted multiple cancer pathways at one time and showed no major toxic side effects, at least in the lab rats. Experts say while the treatment is still years away from human use, the findings could open the door to new therapies for one of the most deadly forms of cancer, no doubt about it. February is National Cancer Prevention Awareness Month. Now more than ever, you want to be asking what each of us can do to lower our chances of cancer. And so if you or a loved one is battling cancer or at risk, we want to make sure that no stone is left unturned in the effort to stay healthy. So that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You know them. We have their great doctors on this program all the time. Dr. Kelly Victory, Dr. Peter McCullough, many others. The Wellness Company and their doctors are medical professionals. You can trust them. The Wellness Company is committed to providing safe, low-cost alternatives to big pharma drugs that'll cost you a lot more. From ivermectin to methylene blue to their fantastic new product called Shield to help prevent cancer, so much more. The Wellness Company gives you the opportunity to make the promise of the MAHA movement a reality in your life. This February, take control of your health. Go to twc.health/RAV. Give it an order. That's twc.health/RAV. Use the promo code RAV. It'll save you 10%. Prepare now. Don't wait. But let's send it over to David. David Brody, are you there? David?
I'm here.
David
Hello?
Brody? David, hello?
Gina, come
Let me
in.
ask
Hello?
you this. Let me ask you this. Would you have referenced rolling down the river with the ice floating down the river in front of the Statue of Liberty? I know you would have. I know you would have.
Of course I would have.
You probably would have sang. So there you go.
That's right. Yeah, I am. Who sings that? Tina Turner.
No, it was someone in the 70s, not Tina Turner.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
I mean, no, she did remake it, but that was a cover from an original that was back in the 70s.
You are a 70s trivia expert, aren't you?
Well, you know, because my mom listened to all that music, and I have so many great memories of just riding in the car with her listening to 70s music. Yeah, she loved it. So, and it makes me think of her. So.
I love it. All right, so here we go. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says he opposes granting immunity or clemency to convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell after she invoked her Fifth Amendment rights and refused to answer questions during a congressional deposition. Maxwell, who was serving a 20-year federal prison sentence, declined to testify in the closed-door session. Maxwell's attorney said she would testify and clear President Trump's name in exchange for clemency. Oh, how nice of her. That was an ad lib. It wasn't unprompter. Let's bring in GOP strategist and fellow for the Independent Women's Forum, Nicole Kipralov. Nicole, great to have you. Listen, I'm getting tired of this song and dance with Maxwell. And, we've got information. We can help. Okay, you just want your client out of jail. Or I say out of jail. They want her, exonerated, if you will. What do you make of what's going on here?
David, I think we need to be crystal clear here. Ghislaine Maxwell is a convicted child sex trafficker, and she is sitting in federal prison for a reason. You don't get mercy for heinous crimes, and you certainly don't get it in exchange for hush money testimony or political cover or anything like that. I think Chairman Comer made it very, very clear. No immunity, no backroom deals, no discounted justice for sex traffickers, because look, real accountability comes from the facts. And so I think if Ghislaine Maxwell has information that matters, she should just answer the questions under oath. And by the way, I want to point out that Caroline Leavitt confirmed yesterday that pardoning Ghislaine is not a priority for President Trump. That's the absolute right position to take, because as we know, the president is very much committed to justice and accountability here.
Yeah, she's undoubtedly a disgusting, evil human being. But, there are also others. Seeing some of the emails between especially Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton in the recently released Epstein files, but others as well. Are we going to see more arrests? Because when you look at what has actually happened, I think, Nicole, for a long time, I thought this was young women, 15, 16, 17 years old, underage. Very disturbing. As a mother of daughters, that's very upsetting to me. But it's children. It's little children. And I don't think I probably knew, but I just don't think I realized the degree to which this proliferated. Especially under Bush administrations and under Obama administrations and apparently under Clinton. And so are we going to see more arrests? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. We need to see more arrests. I want Ghislaine to have a lot of company in prison.
Dr. Gina, I absolutely agree with you. We have to see more arrests, more justice, more accountability. As you said, this is as disgusting as it gets. It's a whole network of disgusting behavior here, just absolutely gut-wrenching. And I think this is the first time in so many years that we're seeing transparency under President Trump. Remember, Democrats sat on this for 4 years. Biden didn't do anything. And now all of a sudden, the Democrats want to take credit for President Trump's transparency. So I want to make it very clear here, President Trump, he has delivered so much transparency to the American people in regards to this over the past year. By the way, in spite of all the fabrications of the left.
I hear you. I agree with you. Do you think President Trump gets credit for that transparency if there are no arrests?
Well, first of all, there's 3 more years left of the administration. I think we are going to see arrests. Absolutely. I think the DOJ, I think the president, the entire administration is very much committed to that. I think he said that. But, look, there's steps that need to be taken. He has signed the Bipartisan Epstein Files Transparency Act to release millions of pages of DOJ records. That's a huge step forward. And he has been talking about this for a long time. And again, we have to take into consideration here that there are victims who have requested that these files be redacted because they don't want to be re-traumatized. We have to protect their identity. There are also many, many innocent people who have had interactions with Jeffrey Epstein, but who are absolutely innocent. So I think in the release of all this information, there has to be that care and judgment put into it so that innocent people's lives aren't destroyed.
Yeah, but it's been years, and they're unredacted now for Congress. Yeah. So those excuses are kind of gone now. I'm just hoping for some arrests in short order. The DOJ has had years to investigate this. To me, America is out of excuses. American politicians are out of excuses. It's time for arrests. But Nicole, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for being on with us today.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thanks for having me.
All right, a U.S. Religious Liberty Commission hearing turns contentious as panelists clash over the definition of anti-Semitism and the role of Israel. Sharp exchanges spark debate over Zionism. What does this mean for MAGA and America First? Is there a divide that will affect the midterms? We're going to break it down next on American Sunrise.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history.
Welcome back, everyone. Coffee pods are easy, but most of them are just caffeine and nothing more. Rejuvenate pods are built differently, though. They're clean Arabica pods that are infused with CAAKG, which is a compound that's linked to longevity, metabolism, and deep cellular energy. It's the easiest way to get better focus, smoother energy, and long-term benefits without changing your routine. Here at Real America's Voice, we choose them because they match our lifestyle. More energy, more clarity, and more intention in terms of how we start our day. If you're going to drink coffee anyway, make it one that actually supports the life that you're building. Head on over to 1775coffee.com/RAV and try Rejuvenate Pods today. Don't just drink coffee, rejuvenate. All right, now that we've got you caffeinated, it's time to stay awake, not woke. And today, we're discussing a hearing by the U.S. Religious Liberty Commission that turned highly contentious as panelists disagreed over the definition of anti-Semitism and the role of Israel. Commissioner Carrie Prejean Bowler, who is a former Miss California and a conservative activist, raised questions on Zionism, and if people do not embrace it, does that make them anti-Semitic? Here are the comments.
I'm a Catholic, and Catholics do not embrace Zionism, just so you know. So are all Catholics anti-Semites, according to you?
As I said, anti-Zionism, by denying the right of the Jews to have their own state while not saying the same for any other peoples, that is a double standard, hypocrisy, and anti-Semitism.
Right, but we're talking about a foreign nation, so I want to be clear on what the definition of anti-Semitism is. If I don't support the political state of Israel, am I an anti-Semite? Yes or no?
They already answered, asked and answered.
According to you, on the record, yes? If I don't support the political state of Israel?
I don't personally label people. But what I'm saying is, if somebody states if somebody says they're an anti-Zionist, they are saying about themselves that they have a double standard and hypocrisy, and they're taking anti-Semitic positions.
Okay. Carrie, do you feel like you have your questions in?
I don't agree with that, because as a Catholic, I don't agree that the new modern state of Israel has any biblical prophecy meaning at all. So that's my stance, and I'm Catholic.
Other members sought to bring the focus back to rising anti-Semitic incidents in the United States, saying the hearing was meant to address domestic religious bigotry, not foreign policy. The clash, however, highlights deep divisions over how anti-Semitism is defined and addressed in America. Let's bring in David and Dr. Gina now to discuss. David, want to go to you and yield to you first as based on your background and your expertise. Your thoughts on all of this? I know you've got a lot.
Sure. A couple of things. First of all, Zionism is very simple. I mean, Zionism is the right of the Jewish people to have self-determination in their historic homeland. It really is that simple. Now, what Carrie is doing there is she's bringing biblical prophecy into the equation. That's different, right? I believe in the biblical prophecy, the fact that Israel is back there and they have a new state since 1948. I believe in biblical prophecy, but that has nothing to do. I mean, that's a religious form of Zionism, but Zionism itself is, look, here's the thing. There's so much to say. If you are against the policies of Israel, if you think what Israel is doing is wrong, that's not anti-Semitic. I mean, do we really need to say that? That's not anti-Semitic. Of course it's not anti-Semitic.
But people call it that.
Well, they're wrong. They're wrong. If you're coming against funding for Israel, or, you know, they shouldn't be doing this, or they should, that is not anti-Semitic. Now, saying that Israel is committing genocide against the Gazan people, I think we can have that debate of whether or not that's anti-Semitic or not. But the point is that if you are against the policies of Israel, that is not anti-Semitic. But that's not what Zionism is talking about. Do you believe the Jewish people have a right to self-determination in their historic homeland? Do you believe they have the right for that? If you say yes, then you're a Zionist, and that's a good thing. I mean, in other words, if the Palestinians can have a state, well, hang on, but if the Palestinians can have a state and the Kurds can have a state, but the Jewish people can't have a state, that's anti-Semitic. It's really that simple.
I think it goes back to the biblical doctrine, though, and different interpretations of that, David Brody. I think that that's where the disagreement lies. Now, where I don't understand is where it goes so far as to say, you're right, that we're siding with terrorists. Like that's the part that really confuses me. I can follow these people and their line of thought saying, is it debatable whether or not Israel is the absolute homeland of Jewish people to a point, but when it gets to, and so I'm with the terrorists, I'm completely thrown by that. I have to admit, I'm learning all of this. You know, this is all new. David, you know, I am constantly sending you articles and things I see on social media saying, wait, is this true? Wait, why isn't this true? Show me from a biblical perspective. And I said yesterday on our production call, you are a genius in this category, and I love having you as an encyclopedic resource to bounce questions off of. And you and I don't agree on everything. And that's fine, too. if we can have these conversations without labeling each other, without calling each other names, and without getting divisive on our own side to our own counterproduction, that's what we should be able to do as patriotic, conservative, Christian, Judeo-Christian Americans. That's what we should be able to do, have the conversation. And something you said to me really struck me. You said, as a Jewish Christian, which I'm labeling you, as I just said, not to label, but I think that's how you reference yourself. Correct me if I'm wrong. As a Jewish Christian, you said, I hope all Jews come to Jesus, Gina. That should be the goal. That should be the goal. Not telling them, that they're bad for the essence of being Jewish. I mean, that makes no sense. And I don't know Christians that believe that. But I do know a lot of people that are really confused on this issue. This is an important conversation we're having right now. And I'm glad we're having it, because you know what? Authenticity matters, truth matters, and loving one another matters through the whole thing.
I've got so many more questions. Unfortunately, we don't have the time. And I think this is a conversation that probably needs to be had again at some point in time this week, or maybe even later, because I think we've only scratched the surface. But unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. Coming up, our moment of faith. In moments, the history of Moses and Mount Sinai. If you think that you know the full story, well, think again. Our Bible history guy joins us to explain.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. It's time now for our Moments of Faith, brought to us by Lee Greenwood and the God Bless the USA Bible. In focus today, most of us were taught that Moses went up to Mount Sinai once, came down with the 10 Commandments, and that was that. But is that what actually happened? Scripture tells us a much more detailed and surprising story. Here to help us discover what the Bible actually says is our friend Jim Mosley, the author of The Duke of D.C., The American Dream, Discovering Jesus' Disciples, Who They Were, What They Believed, and What They Achieved. Jim also co-wrote a book with Dr. G, The Days of Creation by Heart, teaching children how God made the world. But around here, we simply call him the Bible history guy. Jim, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Good to be with you. Yeah, well, let's think about Mount Sinai and what the Bible really says. In reality, Moses didn't just go up, spend 40 days and nights, and come back down. He ascended Mount Sinai 7 separate times. And the giving of the law unfolded over more than 3 months. It wasn't a single ascent. So here's how it worked. Israel arrived at Mount Sinai on the first day of the month of Sivan, about 6 weeks after the Exodus. And within days, Moses began going up and down the mountain repeatedly as he prepared the people. When he went up once and twice, it was brief. He went up, received instructions, came down, relayed God's words, and returned with Israel's response. On the third time he went up, the mountain shook, thunder rolled, fire descended, and the 10 Commandments were spoken aloud to the entire nation. After that, Moses went up again to receive further laws, and then on his 6th ascent, he went up with Joshua, who didn't go all the way to the top, entered the cloud, and remained there 40 days and 40 nights. And when he finally came down, he found the golden calf, and that reset the whole process. The tablets were shattered, judgment followed, and Moses went up the mountain the 7th time, entering the cloud again for another full 40-day period. And only then did he come down with the final tablets, his face shining with reflected glory. So from Israel's arrival at Sinai to Moses' final descent was over 3 months, involving 7 ascents, 2 40-day fasts, or 80 days in God's presence. So Sinai wasn't a moment, it was a process, a covenant that was forged slowly, deliberately, and publicly by God.
Jim, thank you so much for breaking all of this down for us. We always appreciate having you on the show.
Good to be here.
We'll be back with the second hour of American Sunrise in just 2 minutes. Stick around.
Introducing the limited edition God Bless the USA Bible, inspired by Lee Greenwood's hit song and the most recognized patriotic anthem in America, God Bless the USA. The God Bless the USA large print leather-bound King James Bible also contains America's founding documents, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance, along with a handwritten chorus to Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA. With its large print and slim design, this Bible invites you to explore God's Word anywhere, anytime. The God Bless the USA Bible makes the perfect gift and cherished family heirloom keepsake to pass on to future generations. Designed for an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation, this large print Bible is perfect to take to church, Bible study, work, and for traveling. Order yours today at GodBlessTheUSABible.com.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history.
Coming up on this second hour of American Sunrise, President Trump and Republicans on Capitol Hill are continuing to push for the passage of the Save America Act. It's legislation that would require voters to present identification in order to cast ballots in elections. We'll have the very latest on this continually developing story. Plus, new accusations on Capitol Hill as lawmakers say a U.S. tech millionaire living in Shanghai is quietly fueling American agitator groups with foreign dark money. Spooky. We'll dig into it. And then later, a federal judge has blocked a California law that would ban federal immigration agents from covering their faces. However, they'll still be required to wear identification. Those stories and so much more right now on this second hour of American Sunrise.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
And welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from D.C. Let's bring in Dr. G in West Palm. T. Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning, guys. Busy morning. I'm just finding out here, looks like this just coming in. The United States is going to send, the Trump administration sending 200 American troops to Nigeria. We're finding that out just in the last few moments. They will not have an active combat duty role. They'll be there to train the troops, the Nigerian troops there who are fighting Islamic terrorists over there. Of course, we know about the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria. So 200 American troops going to Nigeria. Gina, it just never stops. President Trump clearly asserting this administration around the world in different spots. This is unlike his first term, for sure. It's different this time around.
Oh, it's different. It's different in a lot of ways. Wow, that I can't even comment on that, Terrance. It's literally, I have so much to say I can't talk. Terrance?
Yeah, well, MAGA's not going to be happy. MAGA, I'm not saying MAGA won't be happy. That's really too broad. I shouldn't say it. But I think, once again, I think there are going to be some grumblings, for sure. Definitely with the isolationist wing of MAGA, no doubt.
There's always going to be concern anytime you put U.S. boots on the ground in any capacity, even if it's not a war capacity or a war fighting capacity. The fact that U.S. boots are on the ground elsewhere, not in this country or on American facilities, is going to raise questions. So we'll continue to monitor that story.
Yeah, and I don't want to, just real quick, I want to be really careful with that isolationist label. All due respect to my very highly esteemed colleague, David Brody. I love being called America First. I don't like being called isolationist, because really it is just about putting America first and where our priorities are. Terrance, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
You're fine. My highly esteemed colleague, Dr. Gina, I appreciate you. David, my lesser esteemed, but still highly esteemed.
Wow. We have to be nice to him. He has a birthday Friday, Terrance.
Oh, yes. So you know what? From tomorrow on, I'll be nice to you, David, but I'm going to get my last jabs in today, okay? Tomorrow on, I'll be nice to you, but I'm going to get my last jabs in today. All right, let's get to a couple of the big stories of the day. President Trump set to welcome Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House today. The two leaders are expected to discuss next steps when it comes to Iran and its nuclear program, along with a response to the Islamic regime's deadly crackdown on protesters. The issue of Gaza will likely come up as well, as the Trump administration brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hamas appears to be holding. As for the issue of Iran, though, today's meeting comes amid ongoing negotiations between the U.S. and Tehran over ending the Islamic regime's nuclear ambitions. Shortly after the FBI released new pictures of the person believed to have taken 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, investigators reported having detained a person of interest in her abduction. While there are no details on who that person is specifically, we do know that he or she was pulled over during a traffic stop and brought in for questioning. That person has since been released. As for the images, local investigators in the FBI were able to recover some of the data from the cameras at the home that had been removed. These pictures are the first key pieces of evidence released by investigators more than 10 days after Guthrie's disappearance. And a rift is developing between the nation's governors ahead of this month's National Governors Association meeting in the nation's capital. On Tuesday, Republican Governor Kevin Still announced that the White House intends to limit invitations to this year's business meeting only to Republican governors. Democrat governors are furious, as one might imagine, and they're even threatening to boycott the typically bipartisan event and the White House dinner that's attached to it. That's a quick check of your headlines. Now let's get a quick check of your forecast. Here's meteorologist Tracy Anthony with your hometown forecast. Tracy, good morning.
Hey, good morning. We're going to take you out to Prescott, Arizona, where we are going to have some rain showers. It's all associated with that system that's pushing on shore across the west. So not coming in until about Friday. So have the umbrella handy, but temperature-wise, you're pretty nice, but you will have those temperatures dialing back a little bit as that rain works on through. And we're in for an active pattern as more rain into early next week. Then Brownwood, Texas, a similar situation where you're going to be hit by that system by about Saturday. So we're starting to have these low pressure centers working across the southern half of the lower 48. So brace for that into the weekend. Temperatures dropping into the 70s. Here's that system as it moves across the central plains out of the Four Corners, and then it's going to impact the southeast and even brings the potential for some snow into the mid-Atlantic. So this is that big system I was talking about. The good news is with this system, that chance for snow is going to remain a lot more isolated because this system is a lot warmer. But Terrance, I did not forget about you. I had to check in with Greeley, Colorado. I'm guessing the volleyball tournament's the weekend, so I think you should be in the clear. But correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Greeley the town that kind of stinks, like smells?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's Greeley. That's what everyone knows Greeley for. I think there's a sulfur plant there or something like that. It does smell. We'll be indoors, and hopefully our girls don't stink it up at this volleyball tournament and ultimately are victorious. See what I did there?
Yeah, that's going to be your biggest concern, not the weather at least.
There you go. Thanks, Tracy. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. See ya.
All right, let's get you over to Gramps. I'm sorry. Let's get you over to David Brody, the soon-to-be birthday boy. Hey, Gramps.
Hey, good morning. By the way, my quick smell story, if you will, has to do with when I took our kids to New York. We took our kids to New York. We're on our way to New York, and my son goes, "What's that smell?" I said, "It's Newark." Is what it is. Because, I'm telling you, you just go to Newark.
Too, yeah,
it's the Greeley of the East, if you will. All right, T-Bates. Anyhow, Republicans on Capitol Hill, speaking of ugly smells, well, not Republicans, but Capitol Hill in general, the sewage coming out of the Hill. They're rallying behind the Save America Act, Republicans are, a bill that would require proof of citizenship, like a photo ID, to register and vote. Getting it through Congress, though, could be a battle of wills inside their own party, in the Senate, that is. House conservatives want the Senate to use a talking filibuster, basically forcing Democrats to hold the floor and defend their opposition to voter ID, while others warn it could upend long-standing Senate precedent. The bill has the full support of President Trump, who says it's a critical step to restore trust in America's elections. Here was Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt speaking on it yesterday. Have a look.
I can obviously speak for the president, who is quite possibly the strongest supporter of the Save America Act, which, as you know, would require proof of citizenship to register to vote. It would require proof of identification, a photo identification before casting a ballot, and it would also ensure that there are exceptions made. I think that's what you're alluding to with these conversations with House Republicans for reasonable requests, of course, for our military, for individuals who are disabled and cannot make it to the polls. Those are reasonable, common sense things that I believe House Republicans are discussing amongst themselves.
All right, joining us now with more is Wisconsin Congressman Tony Weed joining us this morning. Congressman, good morning. I'm curious about your thoughts on the SAVE Act. I mean, look, you guys in the House did your job. It's been passed, but it's been languishing for a while. And where is the Senate on this? And what about this filibuster situation? How is this all going to play out? What do you think? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me. The Save America Act is common sense. And I come from Northeast Wisconsin, where we believe in common sense. And there's no question that the majority of the American public, over 80% on the Republican side, over 70% on the Democrat side, think that it's a good idea that you should be a citizen to vote. And, I think you should have to show your ID to prove that you are a citizen to vote in federal elections. And, the great state of Wisconsin already has that in place. That the concern we have here in Wisconsin is we don't want to turn into Illinois and Minnesota. We want to make sure that there is integrity. It's a major issue, integrity in elections. I hear about it all the time as I go throughout Wisconsin's 8th congressional district, that people are concerned about elections and the fraud and just making sure that there is integrity. So why not? This totally makes sense. We've done our job in the House and passed a version of it twice. We pass it again, and I really call on the Senate to do the right thing to pass this. The president wants it, and again, it's the right thing for America.
Congressman, we appreciate you being a common sense lawmaker. Unfortunately, sense isn't necessarily so common on the opposite side of the political aisle there with your colleagues, which brings me to the issue of DHS funding, which of course is about to expire. What's going to ultimately happen? It seems like you and your Democrat colleagues are at a stalemate. Put into perspective for our viewers what ultimately happens with DHS funding, particularly since there is funding in place from the big, beautiful bill.
That's a really good point. The funding is already in place for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE. So to me, this is once again, this is like another edition of the Schumer shutdown. They continue to put politics ahead of people. And, I fly a lot coming from northeastern Wisconsin, and I see all of our great TSA agents, and I just see the concern in their face and how, Congress and politics gets in the way of those great men and women that work in TSA. And that's not to mention FEMA funding and Coast Guard and other things. Again, I see Senate Democrats and Democrats in the House continuing to put politics over people. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, if you look during the Obama administration, President Obama deported millions of people without incident, without protest. And the only thing that has changed now is the radical far left that has hijacked the Democratic Party is their hatred for President Trump, and they're willing to put pain on the American people. And I think it's a tragedy.
Congressman, the Bureau of Labor Statistics has just released its most recent jobs report showing the U.S. economy added 130,000 jobs last month, with the unemployment rate dropping to 4.3%. It's a stronger report than was expected. What is driving this, and what are your expectations forthcoming?
Well, I'm a former small business owner. That's what I did my entire life. I've never been involved in politics before. And I came to Washington to help Main Street. And I'm proud to be on the Small Business Committee. I was with Kelly Loeffler last night, and we had a meeting with our Small Business Committee. We're focused on helping Main Street in northeastern Wisconsin and throughout our country, the manufacturing sector in particular, and it's hot. People are growing. I'm hearing of folks onshoring products and making them here in America. I think people are excited. I think that's important, that we have a strong vision and a Made in America vision and America First vision. And that's what I'm seeing on Main Street. And I'm here to help those on Main Street. And just look at the great tax policy that we did with the One Big Beautiful Bill that incentivizes manufacturers to invest in their company, which ultimately raises wages and grows our economy. So I think it's going to be a great year for our economy. We're already starting to see great signs, and looking forward to 2026.
Congressman Tony Weed from Wisconsin, really appreciate it. By the way, if I call you a cheesehead, that's a compliment, of course. So thank you.
Oh, that's a big compliment. Yeah, I should wear one on my head here right now. We make cheese in northeastern Wisconsin.
But if you call him a weed head, that will not be a compliment.
Yeah, might not, but.
Oh my gosh.
Fair.
Well, and on that note, thank you. Thank you, Congress.
So, Congressman, we've never met. My name is John Smiley, not Terrance Bates, John Smiley, okay? So don't hold it against me.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Thanks again. Thanks
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Back in a moment, everybody.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. Today we are going beyond faith, taking a closer look at some of the most mysterious topics in Christianity. The Ark of the Covenant, that legendary biblical chest said to hold the Ten Commandments and represent God's presence with the Israelites, still ranks as one of history's biggest unsolved mysteries, with no one ever confirming that they've ever actually found it. Right now, Egyptologist David Falk is making waves with a fresh theory. He argues the Ark was basically a bold twist on ancient Egyptian ritual shrines, copied from those sacred boxes that held idols, but left totally empty on purpose to show that God doesn't need a physical form to be present. And that idea is really getting scholars talking. Meanwhile, you've probably seen those wild social media posts and AI-generated videos claiming the Ark just popped up in Israel or somewhere else. Experts are quick to call those out as total fake news. But archaeologists keep digging at places like Jerusalem, turning up cool biblical-era clues, but so far, nothing that points directly to the Ark itself. Let's welcome John Yep, the president of Catholics for Catholics, back for discussion. John, so happy to have you back with us today. Are we ever going to find the Ark? Tell us your thoughts on this.
I don't think so, and I have a theory why, which I'll say at the end. But when you sent me the articles just to prep for this, I could not believe it that Congressman Anna Paulina Luna, right, went on Joe Rogan. I seem to miss that. And she talked about how she found in the trove of CIA documents that they attested that they had found the Ark in 1988, okay? Kind of a fascinating, just a weird story. They used I guess their own developed methodology of psychic reading to kind of see into places where they're not physically there. It's just an interesting interview you've watched with Joe Rogan and her talk about what the CIA was actually attempting to do. Apart from that, historical significance of it, absolutely. It's completely abundant. Even outside of the Bible, there are just testimonies going back, centuries, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th centuries of Jewish rabbis, Christian scholars, even excerpts from the Quran, talking about the existence of the Ark of the Covenant. Well, what's inside the box? Okay, people forget that. We all look at the box. Box is amazing, but what was inside the box? Obviously, the Ten Commandments, right, that Moses received from God on Mount Sinai. Second thing is the staff of Aaron, right, which had so much power. And then third, and perhaps most important, was the manna, a portion of the manna which the Israelites received every single day while they were lost in the desert, right? So where's that? It was, the last track, talk about losing your iPhone. Last time we knew where the Ark was in Jerusalem until it was Babylonians sacked it in 587. Since then, yes, there's been attempts to find it. Nothing's come up. People say it went to Rome. There's a strong case that it might be in Ethiopia at the Church of Our Lady of Mount Zion. But here's the thing, Emily, I want to leave you with this. is I think that the reason the Ark has not been found is almost like God's way of saying, look, the Ark of the Covenant, the new Ark of the Covenant, as Christians have believed, really since, again, going back to the 200s, the year 200, 3rd century, that they refer to the Blessed Mother as the Ark of the Covenant because she carried Christ within her, right? So it's a fascinating piece of Christianity, and who knows, maybe we'll find it, but I think that not to lose the point of what the Ark represents today in our religion around the world today.
Yeah, certainly fascinating. John Yep, we so appreciate you coming on the program. Can't wait to talk to you again tomorrow about more mysteries going beyond faith. Thank you for waking up early on American Sunrise. We still have a whole lot more for you. Congress turns up the heat. House Republicans say a China-linked network is using U.S. nonprofits to push propaganda and fuel unrest, and they're threatening to pull a tax-exempt status if the groups don't come clean. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. Breaking news from Real America's Voice.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back with breaking news. Just looking at my computer, updating some information about those flights in and out of El Paso International Airport. FAA reporting and the Associated Press reporting that the airspace over El Paso is back open right now. Restrictions on flights in and out of that airport have been lifted. The FAA, of course, had earlier grounded all flights in and out of El Paso International Airport due to some sort of security concerns. But we're now also seeing that flights out of New Orleans are canceled or at least grounded for the foreseeable future. All of this information is still developing and just coming in. We're going to continue to work our sources and continue to try to get you more information on this breaking news, but a weird kind of chain of events happening as it relates to flights in and out of El Paso, which are now back up and running. But we're hearing again reports that flights out of New Orleans are at least grounded for the time being. We'll continue to update you on all of this as we get more information. In the meantime, we are getting you ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange, which is set to ring here in just a few minutes. Here's a quick look at pre-market trading. As you can see, pretty much green top to bottom. Hopefully it's a sign of things to come as you prepare for the opening bell. We'll take you there momentarily, but first, let's get you over to David. David, good morning.
Okay, T. Bates, appreciate it. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill held a hearing yesterday on the link between these far-left nonprofits and foreign influence in our politics. So the House Ways and Means Committee hearing put a spotlight on former tech magnate Neville Roy Singham, a multimillionaire U.S. citizen. He's living in Shanghai, And he's accused by lawmakers of bankrolling U.S. agitator groups with what one witness called foreign dark money. Now, Republicans said they believe Singham sits at the center of what Chairman Jason Smith describes as the Singham CCP network, a web of shell companies, donor-advised funds, and tax-exempt groups designed to amass tens of millions of dollars, allegedly pushing Chinese Communist Party propaganda on American soil. Well, joining us now with more is former Senate Chief of Staff and Attorney Chuck Flint. Chuck, good morning to you. You've been following this closely. What else do you know? Tell us more.
Well, it's not a surprise. The nonprofit tax-exempt status structure in the U.S. has been abused for quite some time. And what Singham is doing is he's in the grip of the Chinese Communist Party. He's over there in Shanghai. All the activities of citizens over there and the government, they're fused with the government, with the military. It's all one big apparatus. And what they've been doing is just going ahead and funding these groups. You've seen a lot of the social unrest unfolding in Minnesota. Singham has had ties to that. And it's a one big influence peddling operation as far as we can tell. And that's what the hearing yesterday was getting at.
Well, I noticed Jason Smith, the committee chairman, was talking about, hey, if you're listening, we're coming for you. What does that mean, we're coming for you? I mean, I just feel like it's so many times we have these hearings and then nothing comes of it. I mean, what can be done and what do they want to get done here? I mean, what kind of charges could be looked at here for something like this and the penalties and all of that? I
believe what they're looking at is stripping the tax-exempt status of these groups, because the minute that you strip the tax-exempt status, you cut off the money train. And that is the biggest thing. That is what we have been talking about, our organization, for a very long time, with subversive activity that's been funded in this country by radical nonprofits. And you're seeing it right here. This is the perfect example. And now we know that a lot of it is coming from China via Neville Singham.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about your organization and not only what you do, but how widespread all of this is. We talk about it, obviously, here on the show about these nonprofits, but this has been a problem for a while now. When do you think it will get the actual even more traction than just on conservative outlets? Because I feel like the liberal media doesn't pay attention to it at all.
I think it's going to get more traction as we uncover more of the fraud, quite frankly, that's going on, because a lot of that fraud that we've heard about, especially in Minnesota, up to $9 billion, there's more in other states, is tied to these nonprofits. And so that is the biggest issue right now, I think, that will get people to talk about it. Because when I talk to folks, they say, why should I even pay taxes in this country when 10% of it, up to 10% of it, according to Scott Besson, is lost to fraud? And you see all of this fraudulent activity going on in Minnesota with the social services and so forth. And it has ties to nonprofits that are set up and that are just front groups to go ahead and steal taxpayer money. That's what I think will really turn the tide here.
No doubt about it. Chuck Flint, great to have you with us this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, and thanks for the work you're doing. All right, we've got T. Bates, who's got the New York Stock Exchange stuff, but I have to tell you, this FAA situation is just extremely interesting, about grounding flights in El Paso for 10 days and now lifting that restriction. Now we're hearing about New Orleans. We're going to be on top of that throughout the rest of the day today. But let's get to T. Bates, got the New York Stock Exchange, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
All right, David, just a quick update on the situation over El Paso with the airspace. David Zier just sending us an update from the Department of War, attributing an administration official saying that a Mexican cartel drone was breached or has breached U.S. airspace, and the Department of War then took action to disable the drones. The FAA and the Department of War have determined there's no threat to commercial travel as a result, but that's what caused all of the angst, is a cartel drone that breached U.S. airspace. That's that's what was going on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you hear the bell ringing at the New York Stock Exchange, which means that the markets are now officially open. Let's take a quick look and see how the markets are shaping up. Here you have it. The Dow, S&P 500 are looking pretty good. The NASDAQ not so hot at the moment. It just went back to the green, so things looking up a little bit. We'll, of course, continue to monitor all of this for you throughout the day, and we'll continue to update you on the situation involving the airports in El Paso as well as New Orleans as we're continuing to get new information. Still to come here on American Sunrise, though, California's mask ban for federal agents just ran into a federal judge, and now both sides are declaring victory. So who really is winning? We'll have the answers for you after the break.
From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks for joining us this morning. We invite you to hop on in our chat on Getter, Rumble, and on YouTube. You wouldn't believe how many of the world's problems we have solved this morning in our chat. And it all really comes back to Jesus. It is time to take the political pulse of America. The beat today, the Hispanic Prosperity Gala took place at Mar-a-Lago yesterday. Ahead of the event, RAV correspondent Bo Davidson spoke with RAV's own Julio Gonzalez and Javier Negre. I was there. It was a beautiful evening had by all, and our team deserves a lot of credit for their coverage of this event. Take a look.
Well, today we are talking about the Hispanic Prosperity Gala at Mar-a-Lago. And with me are Javier Negre, host of Rav Español's The Right News Show, and Julio Gonzalez, the CEO of Engineered Tax Services, who co-host the gala. Javier, what can you tell me about this event and who's going to be there?
That is going to be amazing. We are going to have the videos from the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, from the president of Madrid, Isabel Díaz Ayuso. We are going to have the senior advisor for President Trump, Alex Brucevic, who is the person who convinced Nicki Minaj to give the cultural battle against the lefties to support President Trump. And it's very important, the context, because it's completely sold out. It's the most important gala of the season in Mar-a-Lago, according that Mar-a-Lago people say to me, after the Charlie Kirk Gala. That shows that the Hispanic people are completely powerful in Florida and United States, and we want to show that the Hispanic community is not supporting people like Bad Bunny, is not supporting people who are attacking all the time ICE operations, media like Univision and Telemundo all the time telling bad things about President Trump. We want to show that we are loyal to President Trump, to different policies in the White House, and happy to have friends with Julio Gonzalez supporting the event, because this person was really important to me, because I'm a new businessman in Florida, and when I met him, I realized that I was a fool because I was paying a lot of taxes in the United States, and now I'm happy with him. So.
And Julio's receiving an award at the gala, correct? What is he receiving? Tell us.
Well, it's for his involving in the Hispanic community, for giving people grants, because you have to know that the Hispanic businessmen, the Hispanic company, they pay on average 50% of taxes, when the American companies, they pay like 9%, because we don't have the information. Normally, Julio was very involved in the American community, and when we met, I told him the importance to give access to the Hispanic community to the grants and to explain them how they can save a lot of money in taxes. And he started to promote in Rav en Español, in Real America's Voice, what's important for the Hispanic community. And now you have to know that the second citizen buying houses and investing in real estate in Florida are from Argentina, from my second country. Yeah. So these people, they don't want to pay a lot of taxes, but sometimes they pay because they don't know people like Julio, who is the best in the market. And now I'm in the good hands, and we want to give him the award as because his important role in the Hispanic community to save taxes and to make prosperity all over the world.
And that's a great segue, actually, Julio, because you are big on financial literacy. That is a big focus of the gala tonight. What Javier was just saying is a lot of people don't know. There's a lack of information. What is it you do, especially with the Hispanic community, and we're talking about the Hispanic Prosperity Gala, that you can educate people in terms of financial literacy? What do you do?
Yeah, basically, I'm trying to educate them for tax equality, grant equality, right? They have the same access, but don't access it. So this is what it's about tonight at the gala, is bringing more awareness, bringing more education to the community. Like he said, Hispanic entrepreneurs pay about 51% of their net profits in taxes. Fortune 500 companies, 9%. That's a big difference. Now, under President Trump and the new tax bill, we're down to 41%. So we've already taken it down 10%. But we got to get it down to 9%, right, to have the equality in this country.
Well, I know you brought a lovely lady with you, Shawana. And let's talk about females, okay? Because I understand, Julio, that females make up a lot of the American economy right now, female entrepreneurs. What can you do at Engineered Tax Services for female entrepreneurs right now?
Right now, we can get them grants. There's so many grants, so much money available, federal, state, local, through foundations for grants for women entrepreneurs. But 1% of women entrepreneurs apply for grants. So
just 1%.
1%.
That's it.
Fortune 500 companies, Tesla, all those companies, 100% grants, right? They all take grants. But women entrepreneurs, they don't apply. Every time I talk to them, we got to create that awareness, because the money's there for them. Money's there for them 100%. We just got to get them to start applying.
Okay, so Julio, so if you're a female, if you're an entrepreneur out there watching right now, what is the way that people can get in touch with you? What can they text? How can they get involved?
Text grants to 26786, and we'll get them those grants.
That's why I'm here also, to bring to Argentinian people that they need to know this information that, as Javier said before, we don't know about this. We all the time make the same mistake. So all the people from Argentina is coming, and he's the guy to need to know before to come here, Javier and Julio, because they have the right information, and through me, we are going to bring the correct people from Argentina to here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shawana. Well, Javier, Julio, thank you so much.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
All right, turning now to a major development from California. A federal judge says California cannot stop federal law enforcement from wearing masks, striking down a key piece of the state's so-called No Secret Police Act. This ruling, a major win for President Trump's administration, says California overstepped and violated the Supremacy Clause by discriminating against federal officers. But the court did not block the state's separate requirement that ICE, Border Patrol, and DHS agents clearly identify themselves, setting off a political war between Governor Gavin Newsom and State Senator Scott Wiener over who got the law wrong. Now, the White House is claiming victory, saying it's another win for President Trump's law and order agenda. Joining us now with more is the former chairman of the California Republican Party and chairman for Californians for Election Fairness, Tom Del Beccaro. Good morning, Tom. Tom, the victory, no question. But the bottom line is the states, the blue states governors are coming for ICE. They absolutely want to mess them up. And really, when it comes down to it, Tom, what they're doing is advocating interfering in the rule of law.
No question about it. You forgot I've been an attorney for 39 years, and any first-year law student knows that there is this supremacy clause, which essentially means that if the federal government has a law or regulation governing a subject, the state, it is supreme over the state law. And ICE's activities are federal statutes, and states don't get to modify those federal statutes. So this judge was probably wrong with the identification thing. That could probably be overturned, but I'm glad at least they went half the way. There's no question about it. Look, the Democrat plan was let them in, overwhelm the judicial system because there's not enough judges to deal with the overwhelming number of cases. And now that they're here, they're using violence and protest to convince Americans that they shouldn't leave. That's their game plan. That would help them in the Electoral College and in places like California where they're going to lose seats in the House of Representatives and Electoral College. But fortunately, at this stage, President Trump's getting these victories.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, let's turn to the gubernatorial race in California. We've got this, the old Democrat, Eric Swalwell, still the favorite on the Democrat side. I know you're shaking your head. I hear you. He picked up an endorsement from California Senator Adam Schiff, who says Eric is fully prepared to get things done and deliver for the Golden State. What do you think? What's going on there? And will Swalwell have as his lieutenant governor Fang Fang?
So this is an interesting race because there's a whole raft of what I call dwarves of Democrats with no real accomplishments running, and they're splitting the vote. The more interesting endorsement for Swalwell came out today, which is the CAL FIRE union. And unions are going to decide which Democrat makes it past the primary because they're going to pick one, put their money behind them, and lift them above the others. So they have been sitting on the sidelines. They're unimpressed with the field as it is. The teachers union and others haven't made their decision. That's what's going to push the one Democrat. And it may well be Swalwell, who is singularly unaccomplished, a liar, but he says his primary residence has been in Maryland. California has a law that says if you're to be governor, you have to have lived there 5 years in a row right before running. So he's ineligible. But then again, I'm just old-fashioned and read the statutes.
Right.
We love it. And let's just be honest, David just wanted to say Fang Fang. I also just wanted to say Fang Fang. I'm with you, David. Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up. All right, Tom, let's move to some other news there out of the Golden State. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals there in California recently ordered a freeze on a lower court ruling regarding migrants from Nepal, Honduras, as well as Nicaragua, ending their special protections for immigrants from those three countries. On X, Attorney General Pam Bondi calling it, quote, a crucial legal win from the Justice Department attorneys that helped clear the way for President Trump's continued deportations. What do you make of all of this? And put this in perspective in terms of the context of California for us.
Well, look, a lot of these cases similar to this were based on actions taken by a president, not by the Congress. So why on earth can't a subsequent president end it? And in fact, in these cases, they're temporary, they're in the name, temporary programs. So another aspect of the Democrats' strategy is to sue beyond measure on every little thing, and they forum shop and find some judge that'll go along with them. But as it moves up the appeal ladder, they lose these cases because the law is pretty well established. California, of course, has been providing benefits for those here illegally for as long as Gina and I can possibly remember. If Trump and the next Republican president is persistent in this, it will stem that tide. And so that spells trouble for California in the sense that the Electoral College, they'll continue to lose. But at the end of the day, California can't keep affording to make all these payments. Neither can any of these states. And so it's a good thing for the U.S. in the long run.
Tom Del Beccaro, thank you so much for joining us today. And I have to say, you're the holdout there, Tom. I think all of our friends left California, and you stayed and to fight. And I respect you for it, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Okay, talk to you soon.
All right, let's talk Medicare, because listen, a lot of folks aren't getting the full story. Most Medicare agents push Medicare Advantage plans, even when they're not right for you. Why? Because that's where the money is for them, but seniors end up paying the price. So that's what makes Chapter different. They walk you through original Medicare, Medigap, Medicare Advantage, and Part D, with the pros and cons all laid out for you so you can make the right call for your health needs. Donna said her Chapter advisor walked her through every option and explained everything in a way she could actually understand. Plus, they saved her thousands of dollars, so there's that. Now, if you're on Medicare, or you will be soon, call 814-CHAPTER. You can learn more about enrollment options, find out ways to save. It's free, super quick. They can review your options in under 20 minutes. Most people, they just wish they'd called sooner. All right, there's more American Sunrise coming up after the break. Stay with us.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. Let's spill some tea.
Let's Spill Some Tea is sponsored by Artillery Tea Company. It's a veteran-owned patriotic tea brand that delivers premium whole leaf tea in biodegradable sachets that brew twice as strong. All right, Patriots, if you love great tea on your terms, well, you definitely want to check out the Patriots Brew Club for automatic shipments that you control. You can even cancel or swap flavors at any time with no commitments. You'll also get free shipping on every order and a tiered discounts up to 20%, as well as free milestone rewards along the way. So brew strong, stay patriotic, and head on over to artillerytco.com right now and click Join the Patriots Brew Club to get started and to get the hookup. Let's get right into what's in the cup today, and that would be Artillery Tea co-founder Mike Britton. He joins us as he does all the time. Mike, good to see you, my friend.
Hey, morning, Terrance.
So look, we're coming out of this cold snap, and I'm wondering if you guys saw an increase in sales as people were kind of hunkered down in the house with snow or freezing cold. Typically, when it gets that cold, I want to drink more tea, and so I'm hoping that sales went up a little bit for you.
Yeah, we did see that a little bit. You know, after the holidays, there's always a little drop off there, but we sort of maintain it more in cold weather. And so, yeah, we have a lot of options for that too, Terrance, on our website there.
All right, talk about some of the cold weather options. Obviously, tea keeps you warm, but what's popular these days? Where do you see people kind of spending their dollars?
Yeah, there's one product we've been offering for a few years now that has consistently been the most popular out of anything, and that's something called the Try Them All sample pack. If you go to our website and look at our bundles, we offer sample packs of all 9 of our flavors. The only exception that we leave out is the pumpkin payload because that's a seasonal blend, but you'll get all our other 9 flavors with that. We offer it at a discounted rate already. You get 3 sachets in each sample pack. There's 9 sample packs, and of course you get 2 cups per sachet, right? So it's a total of 54 cups of tea. You can try everything that we have to offer before you decide on whether to subscribe or whether you like it or anything like that.
Do you see trends in terms of what people are buying based on the season? You mentioned that the pumpkin payload is a seasonal tea. Do you see that typically, say January, first quarter, let's just go economic terms, first quarter there are sales of a certain kind of blend, and then closer to the summer, another blend gets more popular, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so cold weather is usually our flavored black teas and our unflavored black teas. Our Morning Moab is our breakfast blend. It's a combo of 3 different black teas. It's different than our other ones because the other sachets, we put in 2 grams of tea per sachet. But for Morning Moab, we packed an extra gram in there, so you actually get 3 grams per sachet. It's designed to be a coffee replacement or a coffee supplement. And so that's consistently our most popular blend in particular. And if you get the Try Them All sample pack, you'll get that one plus the other flavored black teas, which are the Howitzer Heavy, our Vanilla Chai Tea, our Battleship Blue that we just released last year, which is our Blueberry Black Tea. And in the summer, it kind of transitions more to our green teas like our Gunpowder Green and our Gadsden Green flavors.
Hold on. So you say there's a tea that's a coffee replacement? I think you probably have a lot of people's attention now.
Yeah, so this is how I transitioned off of coffee, because coffee started keeping me up until 3, 4 in the morning. Even if I only had 1 cup at like 10 in the morning, it would still keep me up that late. And so I wanted an alternative that would still like be America First, kind of a coffee replacement. And so that's the first blend we ever came out with, is called our Morning Moab blend, which is designed for exactly that. So it has probably, let's say, about 70 to 80% of the caffeine that coffee has, but it also stays in your system longer. So it gives you like more sustained energy without having any of the crash. And that worked for me for a coffee replacement.
Interesting. That's fascinating. Mike, always good to talk to you, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go find some Morning Moab around here, around the studio, see if I can get some extra caffeine in my system. Thanks so much, brother.
All right. Thanks, Terrance.
All right. And folks, again, we'll have more American Sunrise coming your way right after this break.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. Thanks for being with us. Time now for the one to watch. T. Bates, I'm watching you. What are you keeping your eye on today?
Well, I've got one eye on you too, David. So look, continuing to follow this situation about those grounded flights in El Paso. We've been talking about it all morning long. Within the last 30 minutes or so, RAV host David Zier quoting some officials that he's been talking to over at the Pentagon, giving us new information from his sources that apparently what led to all of this is some Mexican cartel drones that were in the airspace over El Paso. The Department of War has apparently, quote, disabled the drones, which I think for most of us, the translation is shot them out of the sky. But those drones are no more over the airspace. But again, it did cause a closure over the airspace overnight. And in fact, we thought that the airspace over El Paso specifically was going to be closed for about 10 days, but it is now back open. And again, David, all of this now as a result of some Mexican drug cartel drones that were in the airspace that the Department of War has now, quote, disabled, shot down in my the way I would translate that. And so the airspace is back open. But it's just an interesting thing, unprecedented. I can't think of the last time I've heard of airspace closing here in the United States, at least due to some sort of security issue. Typically weather or something like that impacts the airspace, but not a security threat. In this case, that security threat was those Mexican cartel drones.
Yeah, a lot of unanswered questions, obviously. Disabled, well, yeah, in other words, shot down for sure. But I'd like a few more details on that. I'm sure we'll get that. But let's be honest. I mean, the Mexican drug cartels with these drones, you know what that is, T. Bates? That's their Air Force. I mean, that's pretty much their Air Force. I mean, right? They got the drones. And why are they sending drones over there? They're monitoring the activity, whether it be routes that they need to get their certain shipments in or United States activity that is targeting them in Mexico. So this is a war. We always talk about the war on drugs, right? I mean, this is a good example of it. In terms of the FAA, what's really wild to me is that